include...
Hello, my name is David Race. It is May 22nd, 2013. The time is 9:49 a.m. Let's look at the test screen and begin.
The civilization jihad aimed at insinuating it inside our country. And that
Memory okay. 1 coin, 1 credit. Bonus 10,000. Pac-Man 5 upright.
And their enablers. The first section explains what Sharia is, according to the authorities and institutions of Islam, and as promoted most
and reboot
by an organization called the Muslim Brotherhood, also known as the Ikhwan in Arabic. It's important to note that not all Muslims adhere to the dictates of Sharia. Many, particularly in America, have no interest in living according to its requirements or in subjecting others to them. The question is whether such Muslims and the rest of us will be able to contend with and successfully counter the ambitions of Sharia-adherent followers of Islam. This course is intended to increase the chances of that outcome. Part 1. An introduction to the supremacist threat doctrine known as Sharia and the Muslim Brotherhood's role in promoting it. This course is informed by research sponsored by the Center for Security Policy, a Washington, D.C. based not-for-profit national security advocacy organization I've had the privilege of running since its founding in 1988. In particular, it will draw on research that was conducted by 19 national security practitioners and other experts. They were asked to review...
Okay. Once again, my name is David Reyes. It is 9:51 a.m. on May 22nd, 2013. We're going to start here. 3, 2, 1, go.
And critical look at U.S. government thinking about the then official line on Soviet communism, namely that it must be appeased. That group became known as Team B to distinguish it from the U.S. government or Team A. Team B warned that appeasement of the Soviet Union was reckless at a time when the Kremlin was combining its efforts to spread the ideology and domination of communism with vast military capabilities and aggressive influence operations around the globe. This robust alternative analysis had historic repercussions as its insights and recommendations became more recognized peace through strength platform for his 1976 bid on politics. He formally defeated President Gerald Ford over the policy towards the Soviet Union that then Secretary of State Henry Kissinger detailed. He went on to beat Jimmy Carter with his Team B platform in 1980. And most importantly, President Reagan's Team B strategy brought about the destruction of the USSR and ended the Cold War on our terms. Another independent and equally objective analysis was needed to assess official thinking and policies with respect to today's ideological threat, Sharia, as a tribute to the path-breaking work of its inspiring predecessor. This group adopted the name TB2. TB2's report is entitled Sharia, the Threat to America. It is an authoritative resource for anyone seeking to understand and respond appropriately to that present and growing danger. Sharia the Threat can be obtained at Amazon.com as an ebook or as a free download at www.shariathethreat.com. Among Team B co-authors, 3 have played prominent roles in the U.S. intelligence community. Lieutenant General Jerry Wilkin co-led the team, as did Lieutenant General Ed Soyster. Other prominent members included former Director of Central Intelligence Jim Wilson and former federal prosecutor Andrew McCarthy, who served as the lead prosecutor in the trial of the Sharia-adherent Muslims who first tried to destroy the World Trade Center in 1993. We need to be clear at the outset about what Sharia is. In Arabic, Sharia literally means a path. It's seen by its adherents to be a complete way of life governing all aspects of their existence, from a personal, pietistic practice of their faith to how the world should be governed. It particular relevance to this briefing are the attributes of Sharia that make it an instrument for totalitarian control in the political, military, and legal spheres. The good news is that today, hundreds of millions of Muslims around the world do not practice Islam in accordance with Sharia. That is the case with most American Muslims. The bad news, however, is that, as we shall see, they are under great and growing pressure to conform to Sharia's dictates and to join their co-religionists who seek to impose that doctrine on everyone else. Sharia is a doctrine that was developed and codified over several hundred years following the death of Islam's founder and prophet, Muhammad. The sources of Sharia are the Quran and the Sunnah. The latter is made up of the Sirah and the Hadiths, which provide authoritative and sacralized renderings, respectively, of the life and sayings of the faith's founder and prophet, Muhammad. Over the centuries, Sharia has been interpreted and applied through rulings of leaders known as caliphs, by fatwas or judgments issued by clerics, and via scholarly works by influential academic institutions, such as Al-Azhar University and Cairo. Sharia is often thought of as Islamic law. It's practiced by the authorities of Islam, however, it goes well beyond a traditional legal code to control literally every aspect of the life of Muslims. Where Sharia is dominant, it dictates the behavior and treatment of non-Muslims as well. Some of Sharia's more appalling attributes include relegating women to an inferior status and subjecting them to often barbaric mistreatment, obliging them, in the name of modesty, to conceal themselves, for example, in markets, accurately described as mobile jails. Stoning women should they be accused of adultery, even in cases of rape, unless the victim can secure the testimony of 4 males confirming the crime. Commanding the murder of homosexuals, mandating holy war or jihad, requiring the use of zakat, tithing, to support jihadists and their families, condoning murder carried out in the name of restoring family honor as a means of enforcing religious and cultural norms, encouraging the mutilation of females' genitals as a particularly grotesque means of dominating women. A doctrine that condones or mandates such practices is patently incompatible with the Constitution of the United States. That's also evident insofar as Sharia precludes unalienable and constitutionally guaranteed rights. Some nonetheless insist that Sharia and the Constitution are compatible. There are only 2 possibilities with respect to such individuals. Either they are ignorant of the true nature of Sharia, or they are deliberately misrepresenting the truth about it. The latter is not only permissible under Sharia, it is obligatory, a practice known as lying for the faith, taqiyya in Arabic. In cases where prominent Muslim community leaders make these claims, they almost certainly are practicing taqiyya. One need look no further than the places where Sharia is practiced as the law of the land to confirm its incompatibility with our rights, values, and civilization. These include Saudi Arabia, Iran, Somalia, Sudan, areas in Afghanistan and Pakistan controlled by the Taliban, and the Gaza Strip under Hamas's control. The practice of Sharia in such places also gives lie to the contention that this doctrine is undefiled, whatever one wants it to be. Women and others suffering under Sharia's brutal repression in these lands are no such illusion. In fact, the nature of Sharia is fixed, in accordance with the correct practice of the deen, or Allah. This practice is comprehensively and definitively depicted in, among other authoritative reference works, The Reliance of the Traveler. In Muslim nations where something other than canonical Sharia governs, it is a matter of different levels of enforcement, not evidence of alternative, equally legitimate Sharia codes. Unfortunately, the numbers of people subjected to Sharia disagree. Sharia's adherents are currently seeking to fully enforce Sharia codes not in place elsewhere. Opportunity to do so presented itself with the advent of the so-called Arab Spring. While many of the millions who supported the overthrow of the region's autocrats may have hoped for freedom, in country after country, they are going to replace one form of repression, now dictated by Sharia. Such countries include Egypt, Tunisia, and Libya. In the near future, other nations likely to follow under Sharia's sway are Syria, Jordan, Yemen, and the West Bank. In fact, Sharia's adherents aspire to bring their doctrine not only to Muslim nations that make up the Dar al-Islam, Islamic world, they believe it is God's will that they impose it as well over the non-Muslim world, so-called Dar al-Harb. That would include Nigeria and other parts of sub-Saharan Africa, Europe, and the Western Hemisphere, including the United States. The organization that is the driving force behind such ambitious efforts to spread Sharia is the Muslim Brotherhood, or Ikhwan, in our opinion. What exactly is the Muslim Brotherhood? It's been described as largely secular, non-violent, an attractive alternative to terrorism-wielding Islamist groups like Al-Qaeda. Are such characterizations accurate? It was started in 1928 by an Egyptian named Hassan Banna, who was furious over the declining fortunes of Islam at the time and the dismantling of the Kemal Atatürk, the last caliphate of Turkey. Al-Banna declared, quote, "It is the nature of Islam to dominate, not to be dominated, to impose its law on all nations and to extend its power to the entire planet." The Brotherhood has been, from its inception, a disciplined, highly organized, and ruthless movement, rooted in the Salafist traditions of Sharia-adherent Islam. Salaf means what came before and extols the purity of the original practice of the faith, according to Muhammad, the first four rightly guided Catholics also known as the Salafiyah, or righteous ancestors. The goals of the Muslim Brothers have always been clear. First, promote Sharia around the world and secure its triumph. And second, reconstitute the Islamic Empire, the Caliphate. To calibrate the Muslim Brotherhood, then, it has precisely the same objectives as to Islamist groups like Al-Qaeda. In fact, Al-Qaeda, which literally translates as the foundation, has its roots in the Muslim Brotherhood and its ideology, which is derived from Sharia, the true foundation of global jihadism. What's more, Al-Qaeda has long been spiritually guided and is currently led by who is himself a Muslim. And on February 24, 1998, 12 organizations and 5 individuals calling themselves the Global Jihad Fund issued a proclamation declaring jihad against the Jews and the people of the cross. Zawahiri Said is the emir of Jihad group in Egypt. Muslim Brotherhood's Al-Qaeda Al-Islamiyah. He is the last surviving individuals. As the Muslim Brotherhood's creed makes clear, it is fully prepared to engage in violent jihad to advance its supremacist agenda all over the world. Allah is our objective. The Prophet is our leader. The Quran is our Bible. Jihad is our way. And the way of Allah is our highest hope. In short, the Muslim Brotherhood and other Salafist organizations disagree, if at all, only about tactics. The Ikhwan believes it must turn to violence only when the conditions are right. Until then, the Muslim Brotherhood will use what it calls civilization jihad techniques to achieve its objectives. As we'll shortly see, this stealthy form of holy war can be every bit as dangerous as the violent kind, particularly to open, tolerant, and free societies like ours. But where it is successful, civilization creates conditions for the use of terrifying methods to finish the end, directed in the Quran, of making the infidel feel subdued. The next part of this course will explore how the Muslim Brotherhood is waging such a stealth jihad against the United States. In 2010, a new and aggressive Supreme Guide, Muhammad Badi, took the helm of the Islam. Today, his organization is in place in more than 100 countries around the world, and in some cases operating over a million others. Note this big logo for the Islam, with the slanted behind the group's crossed swords and other Quranic imagery, suggests the Brotherhood's rising conviction that its global triumph is at hand. One of the nations with a large Muslim Brotherhood presence is the United States. We'll have much more to say shortly about the Islam's activities in America. With the ascendancy of Muhammad Badi in 2010, the relationship between the Muslim Brotherhood and Al-Qaeda, which might be described as co-opetition, as they work together as well as compete, entered a new and marvelous phase. Specifically, it appears that their perceptions of the geostrategic conditions with respect to weapons and weapons have come into play. In the summer of 2010, Al-Qaeda signaled that the Brotherhood should recognize that the time had come to move beyond stealthy, pre-violent operations and to start bringing down Middle Eastern regimes that were not implementing Sharia and were aligned with its infidel enemies. The Brotherhood's newly elevated leader, Supreme Guide Muhammad Badi, established his organization's commitment to the Quranic justification for jihad when faced with fitna, variously interpreted as resistance, suppression, mischief, or others' behavior that now includes the offense of Islamophobia. As one astute observer, Dr. Barry Rubin, has put it, Badi's declaration established that, quote, the Muslim Brotherhood is ready to move from the era of propaganda and basement to one of revolutionary action. By far, the most important was Muslim Mubarak's Egypt. After all, Egypt is not only the birthplace of Islam, it has the largest population of the Arab nation. It controls the strategic Suez Canal. It boasts a vast and modern American-supplied arsenal, and not least, Egypt's peace treaty with Israel had long effectively precluded the resumption of regional hostilities aimed at destroying the Jewish state. While the Muslim Brotherhood was well established for most of its existence there, its actual strength was obscured by the official hostility of successive governments and the will out of the limelight to which the people was relegated. As regime rebels took to the streets in early 2008, the Muslim Brotherhood played its hand to purify. Additionally, its operatives allowed secular democrats to enjoy the greatest benefits. Over time, however, the Brotherhood asserted itself more and more. The Iqbal's groups and political fronts inexorably emerged as the most disciplined, organized, and ruthless opposition forces, particularly after Mubarak was overthrown. After the military the Supreme Council made what amounted to a workable, if easy, separate peace with the Muslim Brotherhood, a symbolic and highly consequential manifestation of accommodation between the US military and the Muslim Brotherhood occurred on February 10th, 2011. The ruler transitional junta dropped a 30-year ban on Egypt, one of the world's most peaceful and influential Sharia Qaradawi, who is considered the Islam's spiritual leader, has his own television program on Al Jazeera where routinely uses it to invade against the United States, Israel, and infidels more generally. He was named an unindicted co-conspirator in the Holy Land Foundation trial. Qaradawi's return to Cairo on this occasion was triumphant and eerily reminiscent of the extraordinarily warm welcome Ayatollah Khomeini in his 1979 campaign from exile in France and began his hijacking of the post-Shah political transition. The military permitted Qaradawi to use his address before a crowd of over 1 million to foment demands for Sharia. He declared that the army would support him. Qaradawi also called on Egyptians to join him in marching all-night prayers, and Arabs and other Muslims to refer to Jerusalem and to become Shahadi, meaning martyrs willing to give their lives to assure the triumph of Sharia. A further indicator of the Brotherhood's intentions for the Egyptian Revolution came when a leader of the secular democratic opposition, was rebuffed by Qaradawi's entourage who tried to share this delusion with the Islamists. By the time parliamentary elections took place in late 2011, Egypt's Muslim Brothers had successfully mobilized their supporters and parlayed their organizational heft into votes and victories at the polls. Together with Salafists and other political stripes, they secured upwards of 75% in the two rounds of elections and the votes to dictate the makeup and direction of the next Egyptian parliament, executive branch, and constitution. The Muslim Brotherhood's decisive victory in Egypt, together with its similar successes in 2011 in Tunisia and Libya, seemed to vindicate Muhammad Badi's calculation that the time had come for Islamists to overthrow governments elsewhere in the region. Particularly troubling in this regard are the latest signs that the toppling of autocrats in 2011 gave way to a similar targeted campaign against the royal families of the region's kingdoms in 2012. For reasons developed in the next parts of this presentation, the Muslim Brotherhood's agenda here in America may prove even more dangerous, both to the future security and liberties of this country and the rest of the free world. They recognize that Sharia-compliant finance can be useful for that purpose. And by virtue of their status, in some cases serving at the same place, these authorities have access to proprietary information and ability to exploit in ways that serve their subversive Sharia agenda. As it happens, one of the most prominent and influential of these Sharia authorities is none other than Sheikh Yusuf al-Qaradawi, nationalist ideology, who the government of Egypt allowed to address a massive crowd in Tahrir Square last February, and while there, invoked that crowd to liberate Jerusalem. The inadvisability of having such a man anywhere near the centers of Western capitalism is reinforced by some of his other attributes. For one, he is the spiritual leader of an organization whose mission is to destroy us from within by our own hands. For another, he regularly uses his television publicly Al Jazeera's most popular show to call for the murder of Jews, even Jewish religion, as well as the death of American troops and other non-Americans. Even more astounding is the fact that Karadawi has explicitly described tithing generated from the proceeds of Sharia-compliant finance as jihad with money. This reality should be evident insofar as Sharia directs that fully 1/8 of the faithful Muslims should go towards jihad. An even larger percentage of such tithing would fall under what is considered material support for terrorism, including notably contributions to the families of the so-called shaheeds, Given this personal history and public status, it is astounding that Western capitalists and governments have turned a blind eye to both Karadawi's role in Sharia-compliant finance and to the danger this financial industry poses by design to our economy, civilization, and security. Even more astounding is the fact that Sharia-compliant finance has now penetrated to such a degree that the federal government owns the largest purveyor of Sharia-compliant insurance products. A federal lawsuit challenging the constitutionality of the U.S. government's ownership has established that over $1 billion of taxpayer payment went directly into the company's Sharia-compliant division. Under the circumstances, this might be a better logo for the company. Another technique for bringing Sharia to the United States is to insinuate it into American jurisprudence. A study done last year by the Center for Security Policy examined a multitude of 50 cases in the state of Colorado. In each case, either the plaintiff or the defendant sought to invoke Sharia law to adjudicate the dispute. In 27 of those cases, in 23 states, neither the trial judge nor the appeals court the use of Sharia. The majority of these 27 cases involved family American women and children who happened to be Muslim were denied their rights under U.S. or state sanctions. Specifically, they were deprived of their rights with respect to property, child custody, divorce arrangements, and sexual relations because of their dramatically inferior status of women and children. Perhaps the most outrageous example of these cases of the submission of American rights to Sharia involved New Jersey women's appeal for a protective order against her husband. Subsequent to the publication of the Center for Security Policy study, that website was approved by a group that believes Sharia should be used in American courts. This Sharia Index lists more than 70 cases where Sharia was cited in U.S. court proceedings. The Sharia Index lists some of the same cases identified in the Center's analysis. Unlike the Center's study, however, the Sharia Index applauds pro-Sharia rules and in some instances misrepresents the facts. The two assessments agree on one thing: Sharia is American courts. Unfortunately, no and ominous ground was broken with respect to the judiciary subordinating Americans' constitutional rights to Sharia in a Some charges have been filed against a Muslim immigrant who attacked a costume against what he called Islamic law during the 2011 Halloween in Mechanicsburg. The presiding judge, Mark Martin, ridiculed the victim.
Oh, come on, really?
Judge Martin declared that he found the victim's expression, quote, offensive, and while, quote,
I just shot that auto.
you are way outside your boundaries for First Amendment rights. He observed, seemingly, that it was a crime punishable in Muslim society. Then he wrote, quote, the plaintiff has not proven to me beyond a reasonable doubt that this defendant is guilty of terrorism. Therefore, I am going to dismiss the charge. If this travesty is allowed to stand, it will greatly advance the effort to impose Sharia and then doctrines of blasphemy laws in the United States. Finally, civilization jihadists understand that all other techniques are more easily and effectively employed if they have friends, or better yet, their own operatives, throughout the places. As we have seen, the Muslim Brotherhood's phase 1 calls early on for the use of influence operations to advance its goals. TB2 concluded that the Muslim Brotherhood has progressively put this guidance into practice. Indeed, the Brotherhood's operating principle seems to be leave no stone unturned when it comes to targeting and penetrating key parts of our government at federal, state, and local levels, and to practice civil society institutions, all for the purpose of destroying Western civilization by our own hands. The influence operations tradecraft employed by the Muslim Brotherhood has been modeled by previous totalitarian media groups and their followers. Indeed, much of the influence activity that the Muslim Brotherhood's civilization jihad seems to have been lifted directly from the playbook of the Communist International and KGB. This is, as the Soviets used to say, during the Cold War, Soviet agents and mercenaries trained communists, anti-colonial nationalists, and other
Come on, man!
against their more powerful adversaries. These included guerrilla warfare, counter-terrorism, and influence operations. The skills cultivated in the Arab radicals of yesteryear were passed along to their successors. Because of this, here's how President Reagan's advisor on Soviet Dr. John Maczynski described the connection between yesterday's ideological subversives and today's.
During the Cold War, the Soviets were deeply involved in training communication systems, technological systems, intelligence systems, radical terrorist groups, and there was a distinct lineage in terms of how Islamists use power, and it derives very much from Leninist methodology. One can also say that the end justifies the means morality that is employed by the radical Islamists is almost identical to Lenin's end justifies the means morality, where it's a rejection of the existence of any objective moral standards and the assertion that whatever helps the revolution will bear whatever helps the payload and whatever hinders is illegal.
We'll discuss in the following sections of this course numerous examples of the Islamists' success in influence and targeting service control. For this purpose, a single example will suffice. This photograph was taken at a Friday prayer service in the U.S. Capitol. These events brought Muslims as well as Muslims nationalists. Unfortunately, participants asserted that there should not be anywhere near, let alone the nation's borders. For example, in 2002, was a guest National Islamic Association. At the time, he was the imam of He not only ministered to 9/11 hijackers, he espoused Sharia and promoted Jihad just as he subsequently did as the spiritual leader of the The latter role earned him Islam in the U.S. capture list, and resulted in his elimination of American drone strike in September 30th. Successful influence operations. Its penetration into the population. For some, it seems incredible that there was a try to support the conservative movement and the Republican Party, but knowing what we now do about the organization and its operations, it's actually inconceivable that the Muslim Brotherhood would not. So, after all, as we've seen, Brotherhood's civilization Jihad in America has targeted seemingly every government agency and pillar of U.S. civil society in the interest of restoring this country firmly on our hands. What's more, the Muslim Brotherhood would logically assign a particularly high priority to neutralizing the since it could be expected to be one of the most likely recommendations to oppose the civilization. It was, let's remember, the way it was particularly groundbreaking at the forefront of the effort to defeat the previous totalitarian ideology, Soviet communism. The Sharia has been technically described as a jihad since the Islamist started measuring the trade market with respect to starting war against the United States and the West from the Soviets. It's actually unimaginable that the Muslim Brotherhood would have neglected an opportunity to take out a formidable and potentially deadly adversary, namely the American market. This strategic plan is all the more obvious with the late 1990s since much of the American left had co-opted. Despite the obvious incompatibility between U.S. priorities on the one hand and Sharia with its extreme, even violent intolerance for women's rights, homosexuals, Jews, music, drugs, alcohol, and free expression, leftists in this country only as necessary aggressive allies and defenders. As we have seen, the Soviets made common cause with our Americans during the Cold War. In more recent times, there have been many examples of such popular fronts in the United States and elsewhere in the West. These have been done red and green coalitions reflecting the colors associated with communists and others on the left, and the Islamists respectively. Arguably, no one has understood these times better and done more to document them than a former radical leftist, David Horowitz. After he broke with his fellow communists and became a brilliant, courageous conservative leader, Horowitz published a best-selling treatment of the red and green axis entitled Unholy Alliance, Radicalism and the American Left. His David Horowitz Freedom Center is also sponsoring a valuable resource for tracking and defeating the myriad leftist and Islamist operatives and groups and their arrangements for making common cause against America. He calls it Discover the Muslim. To cite just one example of the red-green approach, the National Coalition to Protect Political Freedom was established in 1997 by a top Islamist based in Florida, Professor Sami Al-Arian. Al-Arian named Kit Gage as the coalition's executive director. Gage is the executive vice president of the Indian Communist Front, the National Lawyers Guild. We'll have much more to say about Al-Arian and his national coalition in a moment. Suffice it to say, that David Horowitz's front page magazine characterized it as, quote, a lobby for terror. A further factor in the Islamists' successful co-option came about as a result of Democrats who concerted outreach in the 1990s to Muslim Americans as a source of campaign contributions and votes. One of the most important facilitators of this outreach and fundraising effort was a prominent Muslim American activist named He also served in leadership capacities in many other organizations. Alan Moody proved particularly at soliciting political and charitable contributions from, among others, his fellow leaders of Brotherhood Front organizations in this country. The Clinton administration received again for Moody was fundraising for the Democratic Party and its candidates in various ways. He was used as a liaison with the Muslim community in America and as a investor with those overseas. Moody also served as an advisor to the administration on the Middle East peace process. Most importantly, Clinton worked to give Moody responsibility for selecting, training, and leadership Muslim chaplains for the U.S. military prison system. A few days before the 2000 election, Moody led his mass suicide at an anti-Israel demonstration in Washington's Lafayette Square, sponsored by his and other Muslim Brotherhood fronts. Alan Moody shouted, "Hear that, Bill Clinton? We are all supporters of Hamas here. And Hezbollah."
Man, that's so freaking crazy, man.
This was not the first
How much did I just lose on that one?
Similar jihadi sentiments his desire to see Sharia brought to America. This one was too public to be ignored, as his previous statements by U.S. government officials and others. This outburst blinded someone Moody's ability to conduct influence operations. The chaplaincy selected, trained, and production have not been even subjected to careful scrutiny, despite a formal request by the Defense Department Inspector General Joseph Schmitz. Subsequent was November 1982. That's all the more 3 years later, Abdurrahman al-Moody was arrested and sent to prison on terrorism-related charges. Al-Moody admitted to killing then Crown Prince, now King of Saudi Arabia, Abdulaziz al-Saud. Al-Moody got a total of $500 million to take over Angola from Libya's tyrannic Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. Al-Moody also launched $1 million to use to defensively terrorist some of the top fundraisers in America. The question occurs, what about the loyalties of the champions who be selected, trained, placed in the military and prisons? On November 10th, 2004, then Defense Department Inspector General Joseph Schmitz issued an evaluation report on the Pentagon's chaplain program, and he raised concerns about the loyalty of chaplains selected, trained, and certified first by the organization, run by Abdurrahman al-Moody, and subsequently, and presently, by a subsidiary of the largest Muslim Brotherhood front in the United States, the Islamic Society of North America. As late as November 2010, the Islamist Abdul Sadiq was one of the Defense Department's chaplain endorsing agents. He was also an unindicted co-conspirator in Saudi Arabia's 2006 trial on terrorism-related charges. Inspector General Schmitz's recommendations for corrective action went unheeded at the time, and despite his urging Congress to investigate the matter in December 2010, they've still yet to be acted on. Back in 1998, before such revelations began, even despite the concerns about Al-Moody's Islamist sympathies, ties, and activities, the presidential campaign against Bill Clinton was getting underway in earnest. Al-Moody and his brothers in the had at least two compelling reasons to occupy the Muslim Brotherhood's success in penetrating the ranks of the American left and Democratic Party with their conservative and geopolitical tactics. First, as we've seen, the success of the political civilization Jihad could be thwarted if the right were not neutralized. And second, that civilization Jihad benefited greatly from the legitimization of access and influence that led to the war team for its operators. If for no other reason, it wanted to ensure its continued ability to place Muslim Brotherhood approved champions in two of the most lucrative populations for jihadist recruitment, the U.S. military and veterans. If the Brotherhood played its cards right, it would retain the responsibility, even if the opponents defeated the Democratic nominee Vice President Al Gore. As it happened, the Muslim Brotherhood's interest in impenetrable coincided with an interest with certain Republican circles to engage in outreach to the Muslim American community. Three prominent GOP and conservative operatives reportedly saw, for various reasons, a need to establish close ties with Muslim Americans. Lobbyist Jack Abraham, tax reform advocate Grover Norquist, and political strategist Paul Rowland. This was not their first collaboration. The three had been close colleagues since they first served together in the leadership of college Republicans. According to an account provided by one reason for such marriage was that Muslim Americans appeared to be promising new constituency for the party and its leading candidate for the GOP nomination, then Texas Governor George W. Bush. Paul Rowland was chief campaign strategist. This constituency is seen as potentially capable of being for the Republicans what Jews have long been for the Democratic Party. Well-heeled, generous. Other considerations also evidently made an effort to include Muslims in the conservative Republican coalition to at least two of those GOP groups. As we shall see, among such considerations in Europe were business opportunities for Jack Abraham and revenue streams for Grover Norquist. In 1998, Al-Wadi joined forces with Grover Norquist to found the Islamic Free Market Institute, better known as the Islamic Institute, II. Checks in the public domain indicate that in 1999, Al-Wadi gave or lent the Islamic Institute at least $20,000 in seed money from his own purse. It's unclear whether he provided additional funds to the Institute, and if so, how much. These funds alone represented almost 12% of the contributions received by the organization in that year, according to an Institute 190 filing with the IRS. In addition, Al-Wadi ensured his control of the Institute as a vehicle for manipulating and running influence operations against the conservative movement. Donald Snowden, his right-hand man, Khalid Safari, as its first executive director. Safari was also the top president of the Islamic Free Market Institute Foundation. In the 1990s, Safari, who's originally of Palestinian extraction, worked as Director for Foreign Affairs and Executive Director of the American Muslim Council, the highly effective Muslim Brotherhood front and influence operation that Al-Wadi pursued.
Oh, God.
Safari also collaborated with Al-Wadi in the American Task Force for Bosnia, an organization that sought to build Muslim adoption after Islamic school. At the time this constituted the top recruiting vehicle for international jihadists around the world. In his spare time, Safari reportedly helped Jewish lobbyist Jack Abraham secure clients for his lobbying operations, including Mahathir Mohamad, the virulent anti-Semite who was then Prime Minister of Malaysia. The hope evidently was that this representational arrangement would translate into Safari operating better than all of the Muslim oil states in the Middle East as well. Jack Abraham was not the only person who financially managed Muslim's relationship. Apparently, Grover Norquist was also able to cash in his relationship with Al-Wadi together with David Sabag, as that partner of the formerly founded in 1997 Janus Marketing Strategies. According to lab registration forms filed by Janus Marketing, the company represented Abdurrahman Al-Wadi during the 2000-2001 period. After Sabag joined the Bush administration, Janus Marketing's registration forms were changed to declare that instead of Al-Wadi, the firm represented Jamal Al-Barzanji. As a sort of out of the frying pan into the fire equivalent to this action, since Barzanji is at least as powerful as civilization jihadist. Vice President of the International Institute of Islamic Thought, and a major contributor to the radical Sharia adherent Dar al-Hadras in Falls Church, Virginia. The obvious question is, in light of what was easily ascertainable by Muslim Brotherhood ties and consequences and associations of the so-called there could be no plausible deniability about Alamudi's true nature for anyone associated with the Islamic Institute. After all, in October 2000, he had made public support for Hamas Hezbollah, an obvious event that was related, sponsored by the Islamic Freedom Institute and other Muslim Brotherhood groups. To that end, in 1998, Alamudi had said, if we were outside this country, we can say, just spread it out. Then, in 2001, Alamudi participated in some 400 jihadists and international terrorists strategization meeting. As Fox News reported, this meeting brought together, quote, the world's most extreme Islamic terror groups to set aside their differences
Dang it!
and fight for jihad.
Shouldn't have done that, apparently.
Against Israel.
I should have just went up.
Despite such jihadist connections with the because of that, the Alamoudi security team generated significant sums to support Muslim Brotherhood's Soviet influence operation. According to the Islamic Free Market Institute Foundation's 990 reports to the Internal Revenue Service, the organization had revenues of over $2.7 billion between 1999 and 2006. Some reports are a possible source of such revenues appears to have been a series of conferences the Islamic Institute sponsored starting in 2002. The first was the International Islamic Finance Conference held in Washington, D.C. in September of that year. Its purpose was advertised as bringing the financial world together. The sponsoring organization, the General Council for Islamic Banks and Financial Institutions, must have greatly appreciated the value of the conservative Muslim organization, introducing an official Washington release at the time, fully in Republican hands. In fact, this conference amounted to a prime example of civilization jihad, combining effective influence operation ideas as perceived, the leading edge of the stealth jihadist campaign in the West, Sharia finance. The Islamic bankers paid handsomely for the Institute's help. According to its 985 for 2002, a conference that year generated $48,000 for the Islamic Free Market Institute Foundation. That represented approximately 10% of the organization's declared revenue for that year. This event evidently also made a difference insofar as it impressed new sponsors. In each of the three subsequent years, the Islamic Free Market Institute Foundation reported it had spent between $170,000 and $263,000 on international conferences dealing with 20% Even more important than the fundraising capabilities of this influence operation are the host of benefits the Islamists immediately enjoy, thanks to their association with Muslim Brotherhood and the Islamic Institute's co-location with his organization, Americans for Tax Reform. Recruiting a man best known for his northern Tennessee to serve as what the Soviet influence operation referred to Operation Influence. Brotherhood's Alamoudi security team instantly secured a degree of conservative political coloration and legitimacy that it would otherwise have taken years to gain. If it could have been achieved at all, Brooke took his relationships with Republican conservative libertarian politicians and the cohort of think tanks, political action committees, lobbying organizations, and other groups that support or try to influence them, afforded Alamudi's team extraordinary opportunities to engage in their own influence operations of the civilization jihadists. This influence of globalists is what some have described as the grand central station of the conservative movement, a meeting that was convened each Wednesday morning in Washington, what he calls the center-right coalition. Wednesday morning meeting of what he calls the center-right coalition and others at the Grand Central Station conservative movement. During my time at the Wednesday meetings, I witnessed brotherhoods routinely giving prominent positions in the center-right coalition's daily on his weekly agenda to Khalid Safari, other Islamic Institute personnel, and their friends. I happen to have seen such mainstream firsthand. In fact, my own organization, the Center for Security Policy, sublets space for Americans to tax reforms. 7 volunteers who share elevators, hallway, laboratories, conference space, even surveillance. I consider this unlikely arrangement to enact public governance, and I've not been given such a benefit, including for several years, regular participation in Wednesday As it happened, shortly after we moved into our offices, one of my colleagues pulled me aside and asked, "Do you know there's an Islamist Brotherhood on the other side of these walls?" From then until now, I've been trying to make sure that I have been first and since early 2003. Conservatives and other Americans are aware that the has been and is the Muslim Brotherhood and others following the Sharia. Let's examine in detail the nature and implications. It's bad enough that it has been said to compromise what the military calls the operational security, political and other strategies discussed in those meetings. This was also credential Muslim Brotherhood operatives, and thus presenting to the Wednesday meeting members individuals who otherwise never be mistaken for conservative Republicans. Particularly worrying was the extent to which this credential translated into access for such individuals, first to George W. Bush's 2000 campaign presidency, then, after Mr. Bush's election, to his administration. That's a score 6 times in the Marcus Brotherhood Muslim Brotherhood effort to penetrate and influence the Bush 43 team, in the process giving rise to precedents and openings for Brotherhood's civilization and jihad operations that continue and intensify today. Before we've been introduced to upright the top Muslim Brotherhood who have years of close collaboration with the T4 administration and the Democratic Party, set up the Islamic Free Market Institute to gain access for his team to Jihad. As a result, he is one of the prominent Islamists who were invited to meet then Candidate Bush at the governor's mansion in Austin in May 2000. We've also met Khalid Safari, who moved from his right-hand man at the American Muslim Council to being his trusted executive director at the Islamic Free Market Institute. Norquist arranged for Safari to become the coordinator for Bush 2000 campaign's Muslim outreach. Not surprisingly, the Muslims the Bush team subsequently reached out to her, with few, if any, exceptions, Islamists like Al-Awali, with whom Safari is shown here at the governor's mansion in Austin. Is Iyad back in October 1993, was a leader of the Islamic Association for Palestine. Recall that the IAP was one of the groups listed for attachment to the Brotherhood's explanatory memorandum discussed in Part 2 of this course. On October 3, 1993, Iyad Awad joined other Muslim Brotherhood groups to found a new organization, the Council on Islamic Relations, The meeting was wiretapped by the FBI because it was a gathering of the Palestine Committee of the United States. The Palestine Committee had been established by the American government after the adoption of a resolution by the International Council on Palestinian cause. Documents in the government's possession reveal that by Palestinian cause, the Brotherhood meant the Islamic resistance movement. Transcripts of this 1983 meeting were introduced into evidence in the Holy Land Foundation. Awad continues to serve as Cair's executive leader, despite being Awad's long and no record involvement in Hamas and other Muslim Brotherhood operations. He was one of the Muslim community leaders the opening of August Safari team arranged President Bush reach out to FBI. Here is shown the next post-election follow-up firing civilians in center of Washington. Khalid Safari and other Islamists were also featured with Mr. Bush. Thanks to Awad's leadership in civilization jihad, Fair earned the dubious distinction of being listed by federal prosecutors as an unindicted co-conspirator in the Holy Land Foundation trial. Fair was also listed as one of the members of the Muslim Brotherhood's Palestine Committee. In other words, the government has formally declared that Care is Hamas. The basis of the evidence provided in that case, fewer than 4 federal judges ruled that the trial was completely
Almost like 25 seconds.
When the presiding jurist in the 2008 proceeding, District Judge Horace was rejected and asked for Care to recognized the designation expired. His ruling said in part, quote, the government has produced ample evidence to establish that associations of Care is not man-made. Holy Foundation is not an association of Palestine and with Hamas. We've also got Samuel Ryan. As was discussed earlier, Mr. Gonzalez is the Muslim activist who founded the popular front group known as the National Coalition to Protect Political Freedom. It's now the defendant dissent foundation. At the time, Al-Aryan's ostensible day job was that of a professor of computer sciences at the University of South Florida. It turned out that Samuel Aryan had another job. He used his position at the university as a cover for his role as opponent to figures on the Islamist terrorist group Palestinian PIJ, is believed to have been responsible for at least 100 deaths in the Middle East. Is there any question that Samuel Aryan was deeply involved in Palestinian Islamic Jihad? Long before Samuel Aryan's February 2003 arrest and 2005 trial on terrorism charges, his Islamist friends and allies decried criticism of him as racism and bigotry. Even after Aryan pled guilty to one count of supporting a terrorist organization, many of them have continued to insist that he is an innocent man, a prisoner of conscience who was falsely accused and wrongly prosecuted. His unpopular views on the Israel Palestine. Senior U.S. District Judge James Moody, who presided over Aryan's trial, was under no such illusions. The judge chastised Aryan in 2006, saying, quote, you looked your neighbors in the eyes and said you had nothing to do with Palestinian Islamic Jihad. This trial exposed that as a lie. Rebecca claims that your efforts were only to provide charities for widows and orphans. That, too, is a lie. The evidence was clear in this case that you were a leader in the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. You were an approved officer of the cemetery. directors control the actions of the organization. Valerian would not be arrested for his involvement in the Palestinian extermination until nearly 3 years after this measure was taken from his family and George W. Bush at a campaign stop in Florida. Federal authorities certainly knew of Valerian's role in the terrorist group well before Bush took office. The forces of Charlie Government was one case dating back to 1994, which Valerian agreed with other directors about future direction of the organization. So how did an Islamist running an international terrorist organization get this close to a future president of the United States? Presumably, most of these British activities are PLJ Connection was persuaded that such a meeting was held simply to demonstrate the influence the campaign potential would be and thus to cement its support for his campaign. Given their own Islamist sympathies and agendas, however, it is inconceivable that Abdurrahman Khalid Safari and the others of the Islamic Institute were similarly clueless about those of Syria. To reinforce the notion that Al-Arian's ground game had been decisive for Mr. Bush, Brotherhood was went so far as to warn that Americans had immediately after the election, George W. Bush was elected President of the United States of America because of the Muslim Brotherhood. Otherwise, Congress wanted the new administration to remember that Saudi Al-Arian and his team delivered for the Texas governor. As one wit caustically observed in response, given the closeness of the Haitian chat for election, red-haired Ugandans would decided for the election. Still, one suspicion that could only have held readers is Islamist capitalist claims on positive treatment in the new Bush administration. In fact, two such claims were presented exactly what Bush campaigns Muslim Brotherhood Safari and his Islamist friends had in mind in arranging this vote. First, is the reasonable expectation that such tangible proof that Al-Arian's access to George W. Bush could come in handy in the event law enforcement tried to prosecute the professor over his secret Palestinian Islamic Jihad operation. The second was Al-Arian's intentional determination to block the use of what he called secret evidence. What is secret evidence? This is a pejorative term Islamists like Al-Arian and their friends on the radical left apply to classified information without this practice was authorized by the Anti-Terrorism and Effective Development enacted in 1996. The law was adopted to protect against the needless compromise of intelligence or the means by which it was obtained. Obviously, such an authority frustrated foreign enemies of the United States by facilitating their prosecution. Do so would downside the risks of terror. In the late 1990s and early years of the new century, Al-Arian was incredibly obsessed with blocking secret evidence. It should not have been a surprise, after all. He had an intense self-interest in securing such information. At the time of Al-Arian's sitting down with George W. Bush, Mazen al-Najjar, Sammy's brother and his co-conspirator in Palestinian Islamic Jihad, was being held without bail in part on the basis of such evidence. Al-Arian had to worry that if secret evidence were able to be used successfully in Bashir's case, the chances would be greatly increased that Saudi would also be somewhat able to assess and would almost certainly face prosecution and deportation as well. July 2001, revealing insight into Grover Norquist's value to Saudi Arabia and his team in connection with the campaign against secret evidence. The occasion was inaugurated by the Bashir Coalition to continue established primarily to lobby against as well as David Wallace's Norquist received an award for being, quote, a champion of the abolishment movement against secret evidence. When subsequently challenged on the company he was keeping in Israel, was insisting that he was part of the recognition. Yet another critical figure in Muslim Brotherhood's American operations is Muslim Siddiqui. For 3 years, Siddiqui served as president of the largest Muslim Islamic society. He was also chair of the Islamic Trust, selling financing the mortgages of mosques, thereby ensuring Muslims fulfill their services, schools, events. He is currently the director of the Islamic Society of Jihad and chairman of the Executive Council of the influential Brotherhood Jurisprudential Front known as the FIA Council. In 1996, Siddiqui explicitly announced his commitment to bringing Sharia to all lands, including the United States. Elizabeth Siddiqui issued an ominous warning at the same October 2000 anti-Israel demonstration on the West Coast, co-sponsored by the Muslim Brotherhood Institute, produced by the Ideological, which to declare his support for Hamas and Hezbollah. Siddiqui announced, America has to remember that if we remain on the side of injustice, the wrath of God will come. Despite Siddiqui's record and associations, thanks to the Islamic Institute team's access to the White House, he, of all Muslims worldwide, was chosen to represent Islam in the ecumenical memorial service held at the National Cathedral in Washington on September 14, 2001. Siddiqui was also subsequently given an audience with President Bush at the White House. He used the occasion to present a farewell to Mr. Bush. President Bush responded and demonstrated his unfamiliarity with the totality of what he had just been given, let alone the larger body of Sharia doctrine. He pronounced that, quote, the teachings of Islam are teachings of peace and good, unquote. Unfortunately, as teammate to establish in Israel and Sharia threat to America, while there are certainly peaceful and tolerant teachings to be found, it's really important to understand that the authorities of mainstream Islam consider those passages to have been supplanted by other violent and intolerant jihadist revelations that ideologically came. This is known as Sharia's principle of aggregation. A pedigreed Sharia authority and Islamists like Muslim Siddiqui would be under no illusion of this point, and could only view President Bush's utterances evidence of Muslim Brotherhood's information dominance and the United States' inevitable submission to Sharia. As we noted in part 2 of this course, such behavior was not an isolated incident during Bush years, and as we shall see in part 9, it has gotten infinitely worse under the Obama administration. Suffice it to say for the moment that this is the result of sophisticated influence, to which President Bush never seems to have realized was being subjected. And that was thanks, in no small measure, to his being exposed virtually exclusively to Muslims who were waging civilization jihad against his country, or enabling others to do so. How that feat was accomplished brings us to our 6th example. Islamist influence operators during the Bush years. He's arguably the most accomplished figure in Muslim Brotherhood's current generation, by virtue of his success in penetrating and conducting influence operations within not only the conservative movement and Republican Party, but inside the highest reaches of the Muslim. As we shall see, this success and the degree to which Suhail Khan has yet to be held accountable for is thanks in no small measure to his close 14-year affiliation with Brotherhood. Suhail Khan's role in and contributions, both past and present, to the civilization jihad in America is sufficiently important for a separate, more detailed case study of this influence. That case study is the focus. the necessity of getting President Bush to act on his promote to prohibit secret evidence. And second, to help Khan do that by whipping the crowd to engage in what the Muslim Brotherhood's phase plan calls a political pressure approach of the government. Valerian called for his fellow Islamists immediately to send the president 50,000 emails, phone calls, and faxes in order to get a meeting and fulfillment of the campaign-related program.
The White House has said that they will not issue a statement of position for some time in September. That means we're a few days to work on this. Our hope is to generate thousands of calls to the White House asking them to support H.R. 1266, Secret Evidence Repeal Act. Again, that's H.R. 1266. The bill that has been sponsored chiefly by Congressman Bonnier. That bill has to receive the support of the White House so that eventually it will become the law of the land, where no secret evidence will ever be used against anyone, Muslims or otherwise.
Suhail Khan were able to get a meeting with the president for their Muslim Brotherhood cadre. This updated document is the access list of that White House meeting. It has the names, dates of birth, and social security numbers, the information on the reports into the White House complex and restricted facilities for 49 individuals. They constitute an impressive array of Muslim Brotherhood undated document. 2 months later, Grover Norquist's annual was publicly confirmed by John Zombie, an eminent Arab-American pollster whose family, despite its Christian Lebanese roots, has long been active with Islamist organizations in other Muslim American communities. Zombie declared, quote, absolutely, Norquist is central to the White House outrage. Incredible as it may seem, being selected for the secret evidence with President Bush was 9/11. Even more, still more attacks in Washington. The Muslim activists would plan to have had to relocate. They wound up moving to the conference room at the Center for Security Advice for shared with Americans for Tax Reform. Had it not been for the providential fact that I was standing in the door of this room, they pulled off the elevators and walked down the hall towards me, I wouldn't have known Bringing up the rear of this group decked out in a wide variety of I only recently learned that one of my colleagues, upon hearing what was going on, lifted up the false ceiling to listen to part of the conversation. Here's what Dr. J. Michael Waller overheard.
Judges to use classified intelligence. Included how to condemn the 9/11 attacks. Some of the people present wanted to justify some of the attacks. They used to condemn the general consensus was that they would condemn the attacks against innocent civilians with an implicit or unstated understanding that this was not a condemned attack.
Sometime after 9/11, however, the Brotherhood suffered a significant reverse. Suhail Khan lost his position. Evidently, some had tumbled onto the fact that Suhail Khan's father was a prominent Muslim brother. At one point, the Brother Norquist heatedly accused me of calling him a terrorist. I know then, Khan's departure was engineered by somebody unknown to me, and in a position at least to get him out of the White House. Around that time, Norquist publicly extended an emotional apology to Khan at one of the Wednesday morning meetings for what was being, quote, done to him, unquote. Only Norquist's Islamists understood why Suhail Khan was being given the Grover's instigation a standing ovation. It stands to reason that the White House was anxiously forward to falling out with Suhail Khan and others in the Muslim community, who it had been cultivating for several years. Consequently, this was allowed as a special assistant in the office of the Secretary of Transportation. At the time, the department was led by former Democratic Congressman in 2006, Mary Hayes, who replaced Senator Pac-Man, and, in due course, she promoted Suhail Khan, the young man she had inherited from her predecessor, and made him her assistant for policy. In 2007, Khan received the department's Gold Medal for outstanding achievement. Suhail Khan received, in the course of his service at the Department of Transportation, a highly prized credential, security clearance. Thanks to the nature of its responsibilities and policy portfolio, it will allow oversight of all aspects of those duties. He would have had access to a wealth of extremely sensitive information. efforts ever dated about movement of nuclear, military, or other hazardous materials, counter-terror techniques, and emergency procedures. While Sudan Khan's gatekeeper position in the White House was useful in the long runs, the sort of information to transportation could prove a very real benefit for our enemies. The nicest guy in the room. Khan's affable demeanor, combined with his clean-shaven appearance and skill in tequila, are generally more to mislead the average person about his abiding dedication and service. The event, his friends and acquaintances are unwilling to worries about Khan's actual socializing activities. He typically take refuge in relying upon himself. Points, namely, that he wouldn't have gotten security clearance if there were a problem with his work. In fact, as people familiar with the Israel State Background Investigation and clearance approval process can attest, that system is seriously dysfunctional. To reduce and back such investigations, daily quotas for processing are used. The formula for rubber stamping people should not be cleared. It's a safe bet that the background of a political appointee the White House felt a powerful need to place would probably give criteria certification examination. It would likely be particularly true when the appointee is going to the transportation department. Not generally regarded as a sensitive person as a Pentagon or CIA. In truth, far from vindicating Khan, knowing what he knew about his history, activities, and agendas, is getting clear as evidence in a grave clearance process without the approval wall.
Since 9/11, it's been very hard for the U.S. government to provide people because the was a large number of cleared people. Civil servants had such a huge caseload over time investigation more than just a couple of days. This involves going into
Come on.
their personal lives and what the government did was a shortcut was to let people black over through police records or through their report records to see if they violated the Muslim Brotherhood plans. The Muslim Brotherhood and that's what happened when the terrorist attacks here. Was here legally. He had cleared our system. He did not have a criminal record. And so you can see how easy it was at the time. It still is. In my job as a graduate professor in the national security field, federal agencies, background investigations, people going into clearances, and I would say that these folks are overwhelmed. They cannot do investigations. Personal experience with FBI, CIA, Defense Security Service, to investigate somebody. For example, during the Cold War, they took Communist Party membership as a very important criteria for someone who was a party member. It wasn't the fact that the person was a Marxist that was a concern. Being a Marxist is still a security concern. Only as a party member that you have the operational control of the Soviet Union, whose goal was to overthrow the constitution of the United States. That's the same material when we talk about the Brotherhood, but because the Muslim Brotherhood is not identified as a constitutional service, it is not considered actively as a means of vetting someone to be and still be vetted and cleared. Most of the time, Muslim Brotherhood doesn't even come up because they say, oh, you're Muslim, religion's completely off limits, so that is not a factor in security investigation. What I will say, though, is some of the questions are, has the individual expressed desire or belief in in the case of the really good agents who are planted here, they're really outgoing and act like political conservatives or hardcore constitutionalists. They're not going to come across first as open members of the Muslim Brotherhood and second as being part of the Constitution. So they still fall through the cracks of this.
Let's review through the Muslim examples of recent and continuing contributions Suhail Khan is making to the Islamist cause. He's involved in gaining access to and influence over key institutions of concern, and to acquiring a public vehicle of his own to confer leadership status on him and his initiatives. Then there's this. Suhail Khan was given the honor of leading the Pledge of Allegiance dinners for thousands of attendees held during conservative political action conferences in 2011 and 2012. Such a prominent role was a wonderful twofold for an influence operator interested in further burrowing into the conservative community and Republican Party targeted by his friends in the Muslim Brotherhood. First, most obviously, being given the job of leading and loyalty to the United States is highly useful, done to the same way for conservatives who once died endorse Khan and repudiate those who have warned about his personal history and current activities on behalf of Islamist organizations and individuals. Second, such a role has some kind of affirms that Suhail Khan is a conservative leader, which has been, as we have seen, one of Khan's priorities. That is enabling organized. 3. Promoting a vehicle for penetrating the keen and largely conservative population, non-Muslim religious communities, and 4. Eliminating impediments to zakat, tithing for Muslims. Let's take each in turn. First, open instability yet another Islamist influence operation targeting the web. In 2007, he engineered Suhail Khan's elections of fellow members of the largest conservative-led organization in the country, the American Conservative Union. As noted elsewhere, the ACU sponsors the Conservative Political Action Conference, RCA. In recent years, Northwest and Khan used their board positions to try, with mixed results, to shape the CPAC program and selection of speakers so as to deny platforms at the conference to their critics and to promote their friends. Furthermore, listed Suhail Khan used to promote venues, CPAC, to originate and engage groups of fundamentally conservative values and politics. For example, such discussion groups were on display in a panel discussion on the margins of CPAC in 2011, which brings us secondly to the so-called Conservative Inclusion Coalition. This group is an Americans for Tax Reform sponsored entity that appears to have been designed to give Suhail Khan a prominent leadership position within the conservative movement. In the same meeting of minutes of CPAC in 2011, Khan declared that, quote, "There's no Muslim Brotherhood in the United States." This Conservative Inclusion Coalition gave a platform to one panelist to recommend that the conservative movement promote into its ranks the racist, reconquista Hispanic group known as Raza. Another panelist thought Louis Farrakhan's notion of Islam should be admitted to conservative. It was pointed out that the Nation of Islam supported killing Jews. She insisted they should be included even if she doesn't agree with all of the positions. If such efforts to extend a big tent conservatism to Hispanic radicals and virulent black Muslims are not being free today, another dubious group has been disappeared. Another indication of Survey Khan's successful penetration of the was his selection to serve on the National Security Steering Committee. In 2011, Suhail Khan became a Washington lobbyist for Microsoft, a company notorious for its hostility to conservatives and progressives. This made it all the more astounding when Khan used one of Grover Norquist's center-right meetings to represent himself as the Republican National Committee's liaison for outside organizations and interests. He invited anyone who wished to communicate with the policy to use him for that purpose. Third, following the end of the Bush 43 administration, Suhail Khan sought out a new niche from which to engage in civilization, Jihad, co-opting and undermining leaders of other religions in the name of interfaith dialogue. The Institute for Global Engagement's partner, was compromised in part thanks to a December 2005 gift of $20 million from a billionaire Saudi prince named Al-Wali bin Talal, who was long used his wealth to promote civilization and those resources and the infrastructure that help Main Street, one of the most insidious ways of this sort of jihad, penetration, co-option, and support of non-Muslim religious institutions. As we discussed in part 2 of this course, such initiatives are often bourgeois aimed at fostering understanding across various traditions. This gambit is hugely seductive to Western cultures in particular, where dogma teaches, after all, a tolerance that lends itself to ecumenicalism and generosity with respect to opening churches and synagogues to use Sharia and human This sentiment is, of course, powerfully reinforced by the U.S. Constitution's guarantee of religious liberty. In practice, however, for its Muslim adherents, this Sharia activity is really just another vehicle for proselytization. A prime example of the sort of one-way bridge building to Jihad was a clever influence operation involving Auschwitz and other Holocaust sites, ostensibly to promote interfaith understanding on behalf of Khan's Institute for Global Engagement. Among the Islamists was Muslim Brotherhood, a radical Southern California hero who was formerly ambassador to the United States, the largest Muslim Brotherhood, the Islamic Society of North America. Also, was former ISNA Secretary General Sayyid Ziyad. Then there was the current Muslim President, Mohammed Najib. The Jewish president was President Obama's special envoy to monitor and combat anti-Semitism, Anna Rosenberg. Had an opportunity to protest shortly after, in the wake of President Obama's Muslim address at the State Department in May 2012. That was the speech where the president formally passed the position facing pretentious Israel pre-1967 I want to know what Mohammed the top Muslim Brotherhood officials, said about the Secretary of State. Professor Rosenthal was clearly taken back. Responded, no, Muhammad isn't bad, there are others, but he's a good guy. So well, introduce me to him. I want to appreciate something. I arranged to attend the president's speech. In other words, a senior U.S. government figure was misled on the basis of her participation in an influence operation run by Sudan in the guise of interfaith dialogue about the true nature of the topics that were on. The basis of that deception She sought to secure for that operate very favorable U.S. policy towards the Middle East in general. I subsequently learned that Imam Majid actually had another reason for being given such preferential treatment. Here's the remarkable account of the run-up to the president's speech of May 19th, 2011, when Senator Dan Letterman of South Dakota
In May of 2011, following the dialogue, we shared a The next day, I noticed that Magid and several others were in the background before the president gave a rather interesting speech on Middle East affairs, including the mentioning of the 1967 borders with Israel. It seemed pretty apparent that Magid White House had some agreement with the president and the policies that he was.
To be sure, as is discussed elsewhere in Mr. Brooks, Mohammed Majid's visits to the White House and State Department in connection with this presidential address were not the first Obama administration events in which he and other Muslims policies. But the anecdotal evidence surrounding this one is indicative of how deeply Obama's penetrated the U.S. government and the continual contribution made to that penetration by Suhail Khan. As it happens, Suhail Khan and Majid also joined forces in the East and other venture initially called successor in Arabic. Movement is a reference to Quran 3, 1 and 4. Let there be a rising from every nation, inviting to all that is right, joining what is right, and forbidding wrong, those who be successful. For the Muslim Brotherhood and other Islamists, what is good and wrong are defined not by Western values, but by Sharia. According to that doctrine, the Muflihun are successful when they secure Sharia's triumph. Suhail Khan is the chairman of the board, and Mohammed Majid the vice chairman of the board. It has as its stated vision, quote, to help establish a community that promotes good works and justice while peacefully working against injustice and wrongs. The good works and justice they are promoting would be inimical to the interests of the United States, and the injustice and wrongs they are fighting amount to measures intended to protect this country and its Constitution from their Sharia agenda. Which brings us forth and one to Suhail Khan's word. Ending U.S. restrictions on Islam's ability to raise money in this country to finance the Jihad. This has been discussed in under Sharia. Muslims must give a percentage of their income to charity for the practice known as zakat. A minimum of 1/8 of such contributions must be given to Jihad. Obviously, the problem is that such zakat for that purpose is considered material support for terrorism under Muslim law. As we'll explore through the 6 of this course, President Obama made a point in his first Muslim outreach speech at Al-Azhar University in June 2001, promising to remove to Muslims' performance of their religious duty to die. Statutory prohibitions on materialist and terrorist organizations. turns out that Suhail Khan is once again advancing a cause that serves the interests of the Muslim Brotherhood and other entities powerfully enforcement of materials for terrorism at the expense of the security of Americans threatened with jihadist violence. Khan serves on the advisory board of classic leftist Islamist axis, charity and security. According to the network's December 2011 publication entitled U.S. Muslim Charities in War on Terror, a decade before, the organization's mission is aimed directly at this Brotherhood agenda item. Quote, to eliminate barriers, counterterrorism measures, create for Jihad, charitable development, human rights, conflict resolution work. The question is, what constitutes legitimate Jihad work? For Sharia adherent Muslims, that answer is easy. Zakat in all its forms, like the rest of Sharia, is by definition, it is legitimate, and the notion that some man-made laws could make otherwise is inconceivable, unacceptable, and offensive allegation. As with the Muslim Brotherhood's bridge building, in the name of interfaith dialogue, and the rest of the Iran's stealthy civilization Jihad, charity and security networks activities must be enormously relevant to the Islamists, as it exemplifies their stated unchanging goal, namely, to destroy us from within. In many respects, Suhail Khan qualifies as a highly successful influence operative for the Ikhwan. In accordance with the trade conflicts Muslim seems to be serving as growing interests the Islamic American Institute and many other initiatives. In that capacity, Khan has been directly involved in many, if not virtually all, of the identifiable operations to date, aimed at subverting conservatives and Khan's efforts continue to this day. Which brings us back to Grover Norquist for an exploration of that aging of influence in neighborhoods particularly in South activities that were easily with domestic enemies of the United States are not confined to his work with colleagues of Korean others in the early 20th century. Next, Grover Norquist's continuing contribution to the infrastructure of the civilization Other entities that he uses for his Islamist influence operations. The first of these would be described as franchises of his Central Coalition meetings in Washington. Nearly every state has a regular meeting modeled after Norquist's Wednesday gatherings of conservative activists, lobbyists, politicians, and their staffs. Some are more closely affiliated with Norquist leaders, but ATO representatives are typically regular participants. Depending on the state, Norquist himself sometimes attends, with particular regularity at New York City's Monday. An indication of the use made of these local groups can be seen from an item previously posted on the website of Muslims for MFA. As we've discussed, this is the Muslim Brotherhood Suhail Khan and Grover Norquist are brought into the Conservative Political Action Conference. Participant members, the MFA's founders, the Republicans are racists and bigots. In this now concealed posting, one of those founders, seeming Gordon the Sun, describes how Norquist's American Civil Tax Reform is using its nationwide network to promote and gain political entree for Muslim leaders. Remember that phrase, creating relations with top political leaders, as we will see on more shortly. I want to give you a bit of background on the organization created by Norquist to promote agendas that are divisive to the right and defense alliance. We discussed in part 3 of this course. In 1999, soon after our Center for Security Policy had sub-leasing office space for license Americans for tax reform, I discovered that the Islamic Brotherhood Institute was a front for Islamist influence operations. I sought the counsel of a conservative leader named Milton. Paul was a patriot and believed strongly in Ronald Reagan's philosophy of peace through strength and national security as a central pillar. Paul Weyrich was as troubled as I was about the Muslim Brotherhood's penetration of the conservative movement and urged me to brief conservatives on the danger of closed to the nation. Paul undertook to help in countering this threat, and he did. For the moment, let me just tell you what Paul Weyrich, who passed away in 2008, said publicly. In June 2003, the Wall Street Journal reported in a front-page article that Paul Weyrich characterized Islamists' dealings with Muslims as, quote, very dangerous. He added, we have to acknowledge that it's very possible that some of the Muslims want to establish a colony in this country. My own concerns were like Paul Weyrich's. The only real things I witnessed from 1999 to 2003 that his Muslim brothers were doing at the Wednesday meetings. No conference room issue as one of the few auto-oriented with a background in national security, I was more sensitive, perhaps, than others to repeated evidence.
Come on, really?
Islamists who mainstream their operatives and agenda items. I did what I could to calm them. For example, I pointed out in one meeting, shortly after 9/11, that President Bush
Oh, really?
representatives of the American Muslim Council, presumably aware of let alone that the AMC was encouraging Muslims on its website not to work with the FBI. This warning was part of a campaign that was running. It declared, quote, the FBI's communication to use against you.
Come on.
The FBI has a history of harassing and harming minority communities. Some people are spending a lot of time in jail because they or their friends talked to the FBI. Norquist jumped out of his chair and rushed across the conference room to consult with up to
Oh, man.
Al-Kebsi with Al-Abudi and colleagues from the American Muslim Council and the American Task Force on Muslim. At the time, he was serving as security's deputy institute. Norquist returned to the table and whispered to me that there was no such posting on the AMC website. Check next door.
Come on, man. This thing is being goofy.
That the item had been removed just before, following the publication by the Times calling out.
There.
Colleagues provided me a screen capture of the AMC site, which showed, sure enough, the offensive item. After I left the meeting, Norquist knowingly lied, telling them that what I had said was wrong. Over time, the parties became more and more problematic for Norquist's influence operations, including me in the Wednesday meeting. Finally, he seized on Paul Parents by the in January 2003. Showed the people backgrounds of the panel of the 2003 Conservative Political Action Conference. Another indication of Muslim Brotherhood's successful penetration of George W. Bush administration came to our attention in the form of the January 17th press release.
I'm goofing up that alternate.
American Muslim Council. The AMC thanked one Ali Abdullah for getting representatives of the AMC and other Muslim fronts such as CARE into the White House to meet with senior administration officials. So who is this Ali Abdullah? It turns out there's another Norquist protege who once headed a promotion office in the neighborhood Islamic Society of Greater Houston, which is made up of 29 schools. At the time of the AMC visit, indeed, for most of 2001 to 2005, Ali Turbo was the Associate Director in the Office of Cabinet Affairs. According to his biography, Turbo was responsible for coordinating the activities of some of the most sensitive agencies of the United States government, including the State, Defense, and Justice Departments. He also claims to have served as President Bush's liaison to the Arab and Muslim American communities, a role that he played once Sudan His bio also says he, quote, performed a broad advisory on public policy efforts to the Muslim world. I observed that the challenge in wartime of striking the correct balance between privacy rights on the one hand and national security on the other is complicated by the presence of Islamist organizations adept at exploiting personal liberties and institutions. In particular, I warned that some such groups, notably Al-Qaeda's American Muslim Council and Council on American Islamic Relations, were conducting a worrisome political influence operation against the Bush administration. I also mentioned that the AMC would care for the thank you of giving them access to senior officials. I speculated that his perspective on these matters might have been influenced by an unsettling connection. His father's ties to the Sharia-adherent Islamic Society of Greater Houston suggest that Turbo may have been accustomed to being in the company of pro-Islamists at home. The following Wednesday, Grover Norquist burst on the road in my office and brandished an open letter, citing my remarks at CPAC as evidence of, quote, racism and bigotry. We have, quote, no place in conservative politics. Or in the Wednesday meetings held in the conference room, I responded with a lengthy open letter describing my concerns about the role America's and Islamic Institute are playing in enabling and facilitating Islamist political influence activities aimed at the Bush administration and other Republicans are urged to cease and desist, lest the real damage not only to the President and the party, but to the nation's security. Which brings us to yet another of Grover Norquist's institutional views for Islamist not content with vanishing before his meetings, Grover Norquist began exploring ways to counter the Center for Security Policy's work as a leading conservative voice on national security matters. Initially, Norquist seemed intent on promoting another organization called Frontiers of Freedom, founded by a Turkish conservative former U.S. Senator In the process, Norquist clearly hoped to counter any damage to his conservative feelings by arranging for Wall to give its first annual Ronald Reagan in November 2012. As the honorary Jack Norquist to Washington Office and Chambers, Norquist apparently was able to assure the administration that his friends would also secure financial success. By 2007, Grover Norquist evidently thought it would be better to have what amounts to an in-house to promote views on national security that are always conservative, but bear no resemblance to those who say Ronald Reagan or William McKinley Jr. In fact, as Bush's military correlate much more closely with the libertarian neo-isolationist policies of Representative Ron Paul, spurred by the overwhelming Republicans in 2008 and 2012 election cycles. For that matter, the policy regulations of American conservative defense agents seem frequently to track with those who have led leftist Islamist coalitions. Norquist has several connections to the American Conservative Defense Alliance, for instance, according to ACTA's archive website for 2009-2010, the organization was housed in the Americans for Tax Reform suites at two different addresses. One we had shared on Hill Street, and after Americans for Tax Reform relocated to Transform Place, in the H.R. suite there. That's why is listed as a member of the Independent Board of Directors, and as the organization's among its initiatives in ending to the Reagan-esque philosophy of peace through strife, the Northwest American Conservative Defense Alliance played a founding role in yet another leftist Islamist red-green American policy. As we shall see, the company that Northwest's anti-defense organization is keeping is instructive on two counts. First, it shows yet again its readiness to make common cause with some of the rights worst of political adversaries to the detriment of national security. Second, it suggests that Northwest's sympathy for the Islamist cause transcends the Sunni and Shia split that is supposed to prevent those like the Muslim Brotherhood and Al-Qaeda from working with the Iranian regime. In fact, this is but one indication that differences of Islamist theology can be set aside in the interest of advancing their shared Sharia. By June 2008, SNAPI is said to have had, in addition to the American Conservative Defense Alliance, over 40 other partner groups. Among the most notable was the National Iranian American Council, NIAC, a group the Tehran regime's own press has described as, quote, the Obama of the United States. Another SNAPI member is the Open Society Policy Center, an instrument George Soros uses to advance his post-American agenda. SNAPI also governs the Institute for Policy Studies, a radical leftist organization that gained notoriety during the Cold War for its reflexive sympathy for and advocacy for Soviet positions and initiatives. Even the Muslim Brotherhood front members Council of American Islamic Relations has a member of SNAPI. Here's a that underscores yet again the Islamists politically capable of collaborating with the Shia groups in their shared goal of promoting Sharia, making all Muslims equal, most especially in the United States. Being a SNAPI organization also shows that the members of J Street, an ostensibly mainline Jewish organization that is actually consistently anti-Israel. That should come as no surprise, since J Street is underwritten by a man who strongly shares that attitude, billionaire philanthropist George Soros. The founding meeting of this pro-Iran campaign was convened in the Americans for Tax Reform Conference Room in November 2006, according to minutes by public personal documents filed by the neutral person in his National American Council. ACTA also hosted a further important meeting at the start of 2009 to map a shared path of protection for defense operations aimed at President Barack Obama's administration. Iran lobbyist Trevor Parson emphasized in a June 2007 email the importance he attached to Northwest and SNAPI's work Northwest offered his support but did not sign on. He exemplifies not just a powerful voice in the Republican Party, but an important figure that can provide transpartisan legitimacy to our efforts. I think it is critical to do whatever can be done to get him to sign on, especially since his full involvement in our efforts a tremendous credibility boost. According to the January 2009 SNAPI meetings minutes, his legislative strategy for the Northwest seemed to, quote, end as we know it. A fund U.S. legislators had created to promote democracy benefits in Iran. Since shutting down the Democracy Fund, I've long been aware of the Islamists and their agents in America. They must have been extremely heartened by the buy-in to this initiative of the Northwest's team. Another important campaign for SNAPI involved providing cover for the Obama administration as it refused months of requests by millions of Iranians for assistance in liberating their country from the oppression of a mullah regime. By contrast, on the other scene, President Obama called for the removal of President Bush's administration defend criticism for its reluctance to agree to meaningful sanctions on the Iranian regime, and snapping enthusiastic debate, as did the Iranian regime, Barack Obama's ill-advised pre-election pledge to pursue unconditional negotiations with Tehran. These policies helped buy political time for the military to realize their nuclear weapons ambitions. In addition, snapping consistently campaigned against any U.S. or other military measures that would have kept one of the world's most dangerous nations from getting the world's most dangerous weapons. In the next part of this course, we'll consider how Obama has sought to translate the relationships he has been building between vaccinations and his Islamist friends into still greater political clout for the civilization jihadists. Let's turn now to a second focus of Reverend Norquist's ongoing activities benefiting his Islamist friends and their agenda. His efforts to promote Republican service candidates with ties to Muslim Brotherhoods, mosques, and influence operations. Recall the description of Norquist's Americans for Tax Reform by one session, Muslims of America. It says very explicitly that ATR is looking for Muslim leaders state by state to participate in their activities for creating relations with top leaders and Muslims. Three examples illustrate the kind of Muslims Reverend Norquist has been helping connect with top political leaders. First, the Kamal al-Wash, Palestinian-American lawyer Sharia with 3 political leaders fitting that description. A cabinet officer in the Bush 43 administration, the governor of one of the nation's largest states, and an icon, a former Republican congressman as was mentioned, in the course of his second term of Republican office in 2003. Virginia House of Delegates faced 2 years later allegations found to accuse more trouble and alienating company. Just Kamal's funds. In early September 2003, Wash's campaign for the Virginia State Senate. The letter said, quote, I am looking today to ask if you join me in supporting Kamal al-Wash. Toward that end, I have personally contributed money to Kamal's election campaign, unquote. In fact, Al-Amudi and his wife, Shifa, made the largest single contributions to al-Wash's campaign. Unfortunately for the candidate, Al-Amudi's fundraising letter went out shortly before the al-Qaeda consumer was arrested on terrorist charges. While the Wash ultimately returned, he said about Norquist, he's just a liberal who seems to be involved in U.S. military politics. He also dismissed the charges against him as baseless and politically motivated. In the end, Al-Wash lost his race for the state senate against a woman he denounced as a, quote, mean-spirited racist, unquote. He subsequently also lost in 2007 a bid to lead the Republican Party of Fairfax County, Virginia, another campaign strongly supported by his friend, Reverend Norquist. Then there's Faisal Gill, Pakistani-American attorney. Gill worked for Al-Amudi at 2 of his Muslim Brotherhood friends, the American Muslim Council, and the Islamic Freedom Institute. During his tenure as the AMC's Director of Government Relations, Gill lobbied to secure a prohibition on secret evidence so assiduously sought by Saudi Arabia, and others associated with the Muslim Brotherhood's influence operations in the United States. What's more, Faisal Gill also worked in two firms prior to the November elections in 2000, Gill and AG Consulting. I'll give you a little background on Gill's role in those enterprises. CM Paul Sperry, one of the nation's leading investigative journalists and authors, reported that, quote, Gafoor is a Saudi lobbyist who has been caught up in U.S. counterterrorism investigations. Sperry observed that, quote, according to lobbying disclosure records on file at the U.S. Senate, he has lobbied on behalf of specially designated terrorist organizations, including the Saudi-owned Al-Haramain Islamic Foundation, which the Treasury Department says has acted as a charitable front for Al-Qaeda. In fact, Gafoor lobbied Treasury to take Al-Haramain and one of its U.S.-based directors off its blacklist and unfreeze their assets. Paul Sperry also recounted how Gafoor once used an Islamic probe to beseech Muslims to Islamize America. He quotes Gafoor as saying, quote, we are here for a purpose. We are here not to just be nice to people, but to bring Islamic ways to this country. On that occasion, according to Sperry, Gafoor also declared with regard to the U.S. system of government, quote, I believe it's our duty that it is minimized and, inshallah, Allah willing, one day eliminated. Despite these troubling connections, with help from Roman Robbins, the sponsor of the Islamic Free Market Institute, Gill managed to obtain a series of positions in the Bush administration that dealt with extremely sensitive matters. These included a stint at the Department of Homeland Security, where he served as senior policy advisor to the Undersecretary for Information Analysis and Infrastructure Protection, and as policy director for the Department's Intelligence Division. Gill also worked as Deputy General Counsel for Policy in the Office of Personnel Management. Gill also served as a member of the White House Homeland Security Council and as principal counsel to the President's Critical Infrastructure Protection. In June 2004, Salon magazine described Faisal Gill's background knowledge on the sort of sensitive information to which this former employee, top Muslim Brotherhood and Al-Qaeda operator, was given access. A White House political appointee with close ties to Republican Roman intelligence, Gill has access to top secret information on the vulnerability of America's seaports, aviation facilities, and nuclear power plants to terrorist attacks. Curiously, in his application for a security clearance in connection with his Homeland Security Department post, Gill did not disclose that he had worked for Abdurrahman al-Mahdi. He did, however, list both posts as reference. Such a failure to make a truthful disclosure could rise to the level of a felony offense. It raises serious questions about whether there was a security breach. When the FBI discovered it in March 2004, Gill was briefly removed from his position at the Homeland Security Department's intelligence organization. He was reinstated, however, after what had been described as, quote, a series of interagency meetings, in which presumably the analysis of the White House outreach team about the suspension was made known. As for questions about Suhail Khan's Muslim Brotherhood Association's concerns about Gill's relationships, they deflected or dismissed the theory that background checks for security purposes would have turned out to be powerless. At the time, though, Senator John Kyle of Arizona was in charge of the Senate Judiciary Committee's Subcommittee on Terrorism and Homeland Security. He expressed serious reservations about Gill's failure to disclose his ties to indicted terrorists. The then Inspector General of the Department of Homeland Security, Clark Wood, investigated this apparent security breach. While Gill subsequently claimed that the investigation fully cleared up, as Paul Sperry recounted, quote, the DHS Inspector General didn't exactly exonerate Gill. They concluded only that he could find no evidence that Gill had falsified criminal information or intentionally manipulated. Sperry went on to note that subsequently, quote, question why Gill was never hired for such a sensitive post in the first place. In Irwin's book, Open Target, the former AG Ramadan's intelligence and infrastructure protection. Good question. After leaving government, Faisal Gil practiced law. He garnered what appeared to be considerable wealth from unidentified sources and made at least $25,000 in political contributions. In 2007, he ran for a seat in Virginia House of Delegates with strong support from Brother Marcus, Suhail Khan, and their friends. He lost the race and claimed he was quote attacked just because I am not Islamic. Muslims with ties to Muslim Brotherhood and other Islamist outbursts enjoy Brotherhood's reflexive support. These two had other things in common that contributed to their defeat, as in such associations. Notably, they lacked sufficient clout in GOP circles. Apart from this, one other piece of the pattern is the default to personal attacks on opponents using epithets like racist, bigot, and Islamophobe. As we've seen, these are hallmarks of the left, zealously employed by the Islamists and used routinely by their more conservative agent of influence, Enter Northwest's latest Muslim protege, a Lebanese-American businessman named David Ramadan. Ramadan's insinuation into GOP circles was facilitated by his opaque personal history. Unclear sources of funds, much of them from unidentified sources overseas, and vast political contributions that have earned him friends in high places throughout the apparatus of Virginia. In fact, so successful was Ramadan's network in Virginia that he was tapped to be the vice chair of the Old Women's Republican Party ethnic coalitions. Interesting that was the credential Ramadan used when, on August 17, 2010, he was the lead signatory of the Open Letter published on the New York Times webpage. He criticized Republicans and conservatives who opposed the construction of the ground zero bus. Among the other self-styled active members of the Republican Party who signed the letter were Grover Norquist's wife, Sama, and Suhail Khan. In 2010, Ramadan ran for a open seat in Virginia House of Delegates. He received the enthusiastic endorsement of 23 Republican federal, state, and local elected officials, most of them politicians to whom he generously contributed. Such officials included 3 of the rising stars of the Republican Party of Virginia and nationally. The GOP's second-ranking official in the U.S. House of Representatives, Majority Leader Eric McCain, Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell, and Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli. All 3 endorsed Ramadan despite serious questions that dogged his campaign. Several voters in the 87th District asked a county court to determine whether Ramadan actually resided there and whether or not it had been declared ineligible to represent their constituency. The morning of the hearing, Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli endorsed the campaign. 2 of the Commonwealth's attorneys moved to quash a subpoena for the results of the state police investigation into the true location of Ramadan's residence. Some of the questions that make such political importance potential future liabilities for the endorsers were explored by investigative reporter Ken Tillman in an article published in David Norquist's front page magazine, entitled Grover Norquist's New Muslim Brotherhood. He enumerated that the candidate's family in Lebanon included a major general in Lebanese intelligence known to be tied to the Syrian regime of Bashar al-Assad and Iran's proximity to the terrorist group Hezbollah. Here's what Mr. Timmerman had to say with regard to what that relationship suggests about Imam Ramadan's campaign biography indicates that the candidate, quote, completed graduate studies at 4 universities here. It's never fully such education however, given Ramadan had declared bankruptcy while in college in the United States. Ramadan transformed himself in ways that had not been fully disclosed from an individual whose family had started in this country to someone who came back to it.
Okay, come on.
So wealthy, in fact, that Ramadan has sufficient funds to pay political contributions to various Republican politicians and organizations. As for the sources of its payments, postgraduate studies, the provenance of such funds, and precisely how Ramadan obtained them remain unexplained. The lessons learned produced a vast and unified as a to create relations with them, with top political leaders, and to get them back. Even so, the extremely narrow margin is how hard a sell for such individuals with certain character, sources of funds, and background. But expect Grover Norquist to continue trying to elect in addition to candidates who have ingratiated themselves with their campaign contributions to Republican leaders and organizations. In part 7, of course, we'll examine the myriad ways in which Grover Norquist has been advancing the Islamist agenda in this country and continues to do so. Building infrastructure and running candidates helps with the third part of Grover Norquist's ongoing Islamist influence operation. Advancing the agendas of the civilization jihadists or, at a minimum, promoting agendas that serve the Islamists' interests. Let's briefly recap what we've learned about such agendas and explore the Norquist-Alamudi team's recent efforts to advance them. The initiatives promoted by Grover Norquist and his Islamist allies in Republican settings, in national political circles, and/or on Capitol Hill have two things in common. They are at odds with national security-minded conservatives, and they are in the interest of, and usually vociferously championed by, the Muslim Brotherhood and other Islamist enemies of the United States. Let's look at each of these Norquist-sponsored or illegal initiatives. Grover Norquist has worked to deny American law enforcement, homeland security, the military, and other authorities tools vital to countering violent jihadists. Notably, Norquist and his Islamist allies, like convicted terrorist Sami al-Arab, insisted that classified information can only be used in deportation proceedings under circumstances that could compromise such data and possibly jeopardize the sources and methods by which it is obtained. The Norquist influence operation has sought to block adoption and subsequent reauthorization of the Patriot Act, a vital weapon in ferreting out and intercepting terrorist communications, financing, and plots. Norquist favors closure of the only secure facility for housing terrorist detainees outside of the United States, the American prison in Cuba, known popularly as Gitmo. He's also sought to relocate the dangerous terrorists inboard to the mainland, where they would be granted constitutional rights, and with help from leftist lawyers, possibly be set free by sympathetic federal judges. Grover Norquist's team has also worked with the self-professed mastermind of the Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and his co-conspirators currently being held in Guantanamo Bay be brought to the United States to stand trial in civilian court rather than be prosecuted before a military tribunal. The risks associated with the approach favored by Norquist and his Islamist friends include real security liabilities. The direct costs associated with locking down the area in lower Manhattan where the 9/11 co-conspirators would have been held and tried under the Obama administration's Supreme Court are estimated at some $200 million per year. The associated adverse impact on economic activity in America would be far higher. A trial in federal court in New York would also provide an unprecedented public stage and megaphone for our enemies and a potential public relations windfall for their civilization jihad. It might even endanger the continued incarceration of one of the world's most dangerous jihadists. For all these reasons, even non-conservatives have rejected this item on Marxist and Company's agenda. Other Islamist priorities Reverend Marquist has espoused include allowing Sharia-adherent Muslims to erect what would be, in accordance with their doctrine and traditions, a triumphalist mosque and Islamic community center in a building severely damaged in the 9/11 attacks and close by Marquist has expressed sympathy for the work of the George Soros-funded anti-Israel influence operation that masquerades as a mainstream Jewish organization, J Street. As we have seen, the Reverend Marquist stood upon conservative inclusion coalition has been a vehicle for undermining the center-right movement from within, including proposals to credential groups like the Nation of Islam, La Raza, as members in good standing. In addition, Reverend Marquist has championed causes that are direct threats to the security of the United States by lending a conservative legitimacy to agenda items strenuously advanced by the radical left and their Islamist allies. Marquist has immeasurably helped our enemies, both foreign and domestic. For example, as we have seen, Marquist's Americans for Tax Reform, American Conservative Defense Alliance, and other platforms have been used to try to intimidate or otherwise induce Republicans to join Democrats in gutting national security budgets and capabilities. Marquist has supported President Obama's efforts to abandon first Iraq and then Afghanistan, irrespective of the conditions on the ground or the strategic repercussions. Reverend Marquist, Muslim Brotherhood, and other Islamist allies surely appreciate his determination to keep America's borders insecure. As the Iranians, Hezbollah, Hamas, and the like have established ever-growing operations in Latin America, this policy affords our enemies an array of opportunities to bring into this country with impunity personnel, weapons, and other contraband. This cartoon captures the absurdity and the fundamentally anti-conservative quality of Marquist's insistence that amnesty be granted those whose first act in coming to America was to break our laws. As we have discussed previously, in furtherance of his enabling the Muslim Brotherhood civilization jihad in America, Reverend Marquist makes regular use of a favorite technique of warfare and Muslim styles, vicious and baseless personal attacks on those who stand in the way. Let me say these points shortly. As I am among those Marquist has slandered in this way, I can attest that such ad hominem attacks that's especially so since the awful damning facts presented in this course that document Marquist taken on ongoing involvement over the past 14 years with Islamist influence operations. There's no factual basis for describing me and others like me who are learning about Sharia in an informed, careful, and reasoned way as racists, bigots, or Islamists. Unfortunately, there is a paradox that America defines secure Sharia, the threat doctrine is but stealth, seeking the destruction of our country. Pointing out that reality, and countering it, therefore is not racism, rather it's something I've never understood ever since 1976 when young congressional sacrificed for an oath to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Were I to do otherwise, knowing what I do, I would risk committing a felony offense under the U.S. Code. It's a crime known as misprision of treason, to be aware of seditious activity or to have reason to be We've also seen how Reverend Marquist has been using using his contacts and organizational footprint to promote two of the Islamist's top priorities. As we discussed previously, Grover Norquist has, on at least two occasions, arranged presentations to mislead conservatives about legislation his Islamist clients vehemently oppose. American laws for American voice. First, in July 2011, involved Professor Marshall Breger, who wrongly claimed that this legislation would interfere with the Jews. Second, as a featured two speakers from the radical leftist Americans speciously arguing against Alec on all things and constitutional grounds. The question is, given the great popularity of this measure in state legislatures across the country, and the threat that Alec poses to the civilization jihadists' efforts to use our courts to legitimate Sharia, what else is Norquist doing to block its adoption? The question seems to be all the more warranted in light of Sharia's power with respect to law that has emerged of late in 3 states where it was poised for enactment. Texas, Georgia, and Florida. Within the past year, each of these states, top Republican political leaders intervened to prevent further votes on American rights for American courts. In each case, it was done in a non-transparent manner, at the last possible moment, to allow a Pac-Man legislative session to ensure that there would be no recourse, despite strong popular approval and the demonstrative support of most legislators. Again and again, the effect was to ensure that foreign laws that violate the constitutional rights of women, children, and other Americans can continue to be applied in those states' courts to the delight of Norquist's Islamist clients. For example, one Muslim Brotherhood United Voices for America issued a press release shortly after Alec was killed in Amsterdam in March 2012. The release confessed, quote, "It came down to tonight, the last hour of the last day of the 2012 session. That's where we delivered the American pledge, killing the bill SB 1360 and their agenda of hate. Now is the time for us to strengthen our newly formed coalitions so they will think twice about the messing of our communities." The president, who don't know the full story, was responsible in these 3 states for derailing at the last moment popular American laws for American courts legislation. Since Alec is already to the city of Muslim Brotherhood, and today is not even in charge of the obstruction. Citizens have a right to know precisely who was involved in scuttling Alec in Texas, Georgia, and Florida. Why they can't follow this bill through the legislative process. We also need to know what Grover Norquist is doing at this juncture with respect to a second top Islamist priority. Of intensifying pressure on the Iranian Mullah regime. While the campaign for a new American policy on Iran seems to have been inactive as a coalition after 2010, its mission is presumably more important to the likes of Ayatollah Khamenei and Ahmadinejad now than ever. After all, mounting evidence that Iran is within reach of realizing its nuclear weapons ambitions is prompting an escalating effort to impose more stringent U.S. and multinational sanctions, and perhaps to take military action. These circumstances would seem to place a premium on help from a skilled and reliable Islamist influence operative like Norquist, especially at a moment when the House of Representatives is in Republican hands. So what efforts are Grover Norquist and his cohort presently making to help the Iranians? This question is particularly relevant since Norquist continues, despite his status of 60 Minutes as the most powerful conservative man in Washington, to make common cause with the right's most irreconcilable adversaries, namely the radical left and the Muslim Brotherhood and other Islamists. For example, on October 1st, 2011, Norquist departed early from a meeting of leading conservatives in San Francisco to headline a red-green Texas event in Dearborn, Michigan. The host city has, of course, become the locus of Islamist political supremacism in America. A visitor there recently told me that he felt transported to Beirut as he walked the streets with burqa-encased women, street and shop signs, exclusively and calls to prayer, ringing out 5 times a day. The two principal sponsors of the National Leadership Conference were the National Network for Arab American Communities and the Arab American Institute. The conference's program promoted the rendering excesses of current affairs of Muslim victim, Islamophobia, the need to prevent expression that offends Muslims, how Muslims can extend their political influence, etc. Among the other headliners of this event were 2 Democratic politicians who have long been and Islamists in Michigan, Representatives John Conyers and John Dingell. Participants in the Dearborn National Leadership Conference included speakers from the American Civil Liberties Union and the George Soros-funded Center for American Progress. And of course, the Islamists were well represented, with remarks from, among others, an official from the Michigan franchise of the Muslim Brotherhood and the Muslim Unindicted Co-Conspirator known as the Council on American-Islamic Relations. All Muslim civilians not only to participate behind the scenes in events and operations of the rendering nexus, but to be a featured attraction is highly instructive. For one thing, it shows indisputably his sympathies for and readiness to support, at least on non-tax related issues, the work of individuals and organizations that are unethical to offend members of the conservative movement. Second, it demonstrates clearly Governor Office has no qualms about lending his conservative political credentials and coalition to provide, as the Iranian lobbies treat their support, transpartisan legitimacy to our efforts. Third, the brazenness of his betrayal of conservative principles and values bespeaks an astonishing and profound contempt that Governor was evidently feels with his fellow conservatives and what defines them as people of the right. I'll come back to this contemptuous attitude. These suggested tyrannies seem harsh. Listen to a portion of Governor Wilson's at the National Leadership Conference and judge for yourself. In particular, pay close attention to his closing.
I hesitated because I wasn't sure if I could tell this story without quite IDing the guy. But I went to talk to a U.S. Senator leader, and I said, I have 7 projects I work on, and one of them was, would you like to meet with Muslim leaders to talk about the issues of concern of the community? And he said, oh, I don't know, I don't think anybody in my town would say it's comfortable with the Nation of Islam stuff. And so, okay, next. A year later, came back with any issues I'm working on, would you be interested in meeting?
No, God, no.
Oh, yes. We have 70 interns, state university interns trained up.
Come on, man.
Ooh. Head of our state universities in New York, and I'd like to. All of a sudden, he discovered that there were people in the state that were proud of it.
Let's listen to that last bit.
All of a sudden, he discovered that there were people in the state that he knew about.
What was unmistakably captured in those last couple of sentences were the madness, chilling as he recounts, of the tremendous Muslims in his constituency. Brings me to the first of 2 questions that are invariably asked at some point. What to do the sorts of serious, if not actual, subversive things documented in this presentation. The truth of the matter is, the emotion you just saw may be a fact, reflecting presumably his myriad family ties to Muslims. At Another factor certainly could be the lucrative nature of working on behalf of the Soviets. So-called Muslim Brotherhood. In addition, Muslim friends of the Satanist, as one of the sayings, report that he behaves like a convert, even though he claims to be or for me, it really doesn't matter. Explanations. Matters is what he is doing. To the conservative
Yeah, come on, man.
party. We can usefully summarize what Norquist has been doing in his reports as established by factual information presented from part 3 through this part of our course. It comes down to this. Norquist has been deeply indispensable link of a classic influence operation, not against the right and through it, against our government and nation. Those familiar with the Soviet influence intelligence trade will recognize all this as a page lifted from the KGB support, one that has been realized by our enemies to advance the Muslim Brotherhood's stated goal of destroying Western civilization from within by our own hands. Let's quickly summarize what we've learned by analyzing component parts of this operation. It started with the recruitment of Grover Norquist in the role of what the Soviets would have called an agent of influence. Then, the benefit of the doubt at the beginning, Norquist might have been what Lenin would have described as a useful idiot, someone who didn't understand that they were being exploited by his nation's enemies. As he was confronted by me and others over the years, Norquist operated on behalf of the Muslim Brotherhood, and other Islamists knowing the company he was keeping. With Norquist's help and the founding of the Islamic Free Market Institute inside the Americans for Tax Reform Infrastructure Network, it was easy to insinuate trusted Muslim Brotherhood operatives inside the conservative movement and GOP. For operatives like Khalid Safuri and Suhail Khan, this entailed creating what in the intelligence business is known as a legend, a story, a narrative.
Where was that?
That entails the manufacture and promoting of helpful ties and the downplaying of unhelpful ones, such as family or other connections to the Muslim Brotherhood. The next step is to borrow in, to use friendships, connections, networking, and alliances to consolidate the influence operator's position. We've seen how Khalid Safuri, Suhail Khan, and others managed through such means to obtain positions in the George W. Bush 2000 campaign and/or administration. They then used such posts to help others credential themselves, or at least gain access in ways highly useful to the influence operation. Once influence operators have established themselves as members of the targeted community, they and their enablers will strive to transform these agents into influential figures within that population, if not actually leaders of the community. A prime example of that is Grover Norquist's engineering and leadership positions for Suhail Khan in the Islamic Free Market Institute and the American Conservative Union and the Conservative Inclusion Coalition. Influence operators use their positions to promote themes and initiatives that are calculated to divide the targeted community and alienate others from it. The latter is especially toxic to a political organization that must appeal to non-members to muster a governing majority. This course is replete with examples of just such sorts of behavior. To highlight again but a few of these examples, there are Grover Norquist's efforts to cut defense funding, eventually opening wars and aid the Iranian regime. Then we have Suhail Khan's promotion of supporters of al-Raza and the Nation of Islam in his Conservative Inclusion Coalition and his interfaith dialogue operations. Another example is the collaboration between Grover Norquist and assorted Islamists to prevail upon George W. Bush to ban so-called secret evidence and to ignore the nature of Sharia when characterizing Islam monolithically and broadly as a religion of peace. The fact that Grover Norquist has not only engaged in such behavior but done also in the company of top Muslim brothers and prominent far-left individuals and organizations, is more than betrayal of his position as puberty leader of the center-right coalition. Such behavior bespeaks a profound hostility towards the values and principles of the center-right coalition and a contempt for its members. These sentiments doubtless sustain Marquis as he aids and abets those determined to destroy our country from within by our hands. I mentioned a moment ago that two questions We've already discussed the first concerning Marquis's motivations. The second asks, what does Marquis have to say about all this? Well, here's a clip that exemplifies the more benign of his public responses.
So, what's all this with Frank Gaffney and you and him coming after you for being associated with the Muslim Brotherhood?
It's kind of sad and silly. The American Conservative Union had a vote to condemn him for that kind of silliness. Just 2 days ago, actually. So it's unfortunate, but there are always people who do unfortunate and silly things.
So what about the ties to the Muslim Brotherhood?
Non-existent and silly, and that's why the resolution that the American Conservative Union passed actually referred to them as false nonsense. It's sad, and there are always unfortunate situations where people get into character assassination, but it's silly.
In other words, Grover Norquist seeks to shoot the proverbial messenger, preventing the truth from being known and his cohort. Exactly, does he want that? Well, first, wherever possible, Norquist tries to deflect or deny the facts without addressing them specifically. For example, in the interview conducted by the United West, he states that the whole so-called colleagues on the board of directors of the American Conservative Union is a refutation of the damning materials presented in this course. Since few, if any, of those directors, other than Norquist's opponents, had been exposed to the information when they were asked to approve a resolution supporting their colleagues, the vote amounts to a whitewash of Norquist. It turns out that the vote of the American Conservative Union Board of Directors was greatly influenced by a forceful letter dated September 21st, 2011. It was written by one of Norquist's friends and colleagues, board member Clinton Mitchell. February 12th, 2012, together with the board resolution, was linked to George Soros' Think Progress, a media arm of his Center for American Progress. It's understandable why Ms. Mitchell's colleagues would have voted as they did, given the extraordinary nature and the assurances provided by such a prominent figure in Washington and conservative political circles. There are, however, some serious problems with Mitchell's representations that should embarrass the ACU board and discredit her loyalty in this matter. Writing a letter involved from the whole individually a number of categorical representations. This would appear at statements would probably surprise most attorneys, especially if they had even passive exposure to the sorts of information presented in this course, as had Ms. Mitchell. First was her assertion that there was no basis for associating Susan Hahn with what she called extremist organizations or their activities. For good measure, she reiterated the point, claiming that I had never provided, quote, a single fact or any documentation, unquote, that would establish such ties. Ms. Mitchell actually went so far as to tell her colleagues that on the basis of her own due diligence, she concluded that there are, quote, no facts to support or substantiate the sorts of allegations I've made. Allegations grounded in the myriad facts to which you have been exposed thus far in this course. Finally, Cleta Mitchell asserted that there was also no basis for my allegations against Grover Norquist, characterizing it as nothing more than, quote, character assassination. Again, she impressed upon her colleagues that she had done an exhaustive review of the material provided, which included most of the documentation and findings of this course, and found, quote, no basis, unquote, for what she characterizes as my, quote, attack on Grover Norquist. She endorses instead Norquist's narrative that reduces this matter to a vendetta against him arising from my, quote, continuing venom. In conclusion, Cleta Mitchell assured her colleagues that I had not produced any factual support for my warnings about Grover Norquist because, quote, it doesn't exist. As this course demonstrates, such sweeping assertions and assurances are not justified. Cleta Mitchell had been presented with much of the information, all of the key findings, which concerning Grover Norquist and Suhail Khan's ties to Abdurrahman al-Moody and other Muslim Brotherhood operatives, organizations, and agendas. Other members who relied on my claims of having done, quote, fairly extensive due diligence on were misinformed. While no secret to the ACU board on which Norquist and Khan served, Cleta Mitchell's long-standing professional and personal associations with both men were not formally disclosed. Such a disclosure might have called into question the objectivity of her assessment. Most troublingly, Cleta Mitchell did not disclose that her law firm had been associated with one of the organizations that is among the business groups with whom Suhail Khan and Grover Norquist have been closely tied, the Islamic Society of North America, the Muslim Brotherhood. Adele George, the former portfolio lawyer in Chicago office, was actually Isma's legal counsel. His email address at the firm was used at the Isma website. He was also on the periods of at least one other Muslim Muslim advocates. Do such relationships explain why Ms. Mitchell told her ACM colleagues, Professors Norquist and Khan, were not associated with any, quote, extremist groups? Given the totality of Cleta Mitchell's statements that were contradicted by evidence she had been given, and in light of her troubling non-disclosures, the ACM should conduct an rigorous review of facts as laid out in this course, and revisit its September 2011 endorsement of Professors Norquist and Khan. He would have you believe three things about the findings of this course. First, that there was all personal feud. Second, that this unfounded analysis is simply a product of racism, bigotry, and Islamophobia. Third, that I'm alone in my assessment of his activities. Let's examine each of these responses in turn. First, for my part, the alarm about Grover Norquist and his Islamist influence operation that I've been raising for the past 14 years is prompted by concerns over the implications for national security, not the personalities. As we have seen elsewhere in this briefing, Norquist simply defaults to character assassination and homing attacks, even as he accuses others of doing so. The impetus behind such acts is informed by an objective and reasoned analysis of the nature of Sharia and the efforts of its adherents to impose it on the rest of Islam, racism, or any other religious. As we discussed previously, it is the standard operating procedure of the red-green types to try to neutralize their adversaries or baseless efforts. The use of such a practice by some who is extensive interest in a prominent member of the right is indicative of the extent to which that distinction is very good and dangerous for the conservative movement. In my basis, first, efforts to deflect criticism about his ties to Islamists prove unavailing. He and his friends often fall back with the line that I'm the only one making such charges. Like the other gambits, this one fails because it's simply untrue. In fact, quite a number of investigative reporters, national security authorities, experts on Sharia, and conservative leaders have addressed one or more of the aspects of the relentless efforts on behalf of Islamists and their causes, as described in this course. These include accomplished journalists at publications like the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, New Republic, and National Review. A number of highly reputable national security practitioners, experts on Sharia, and the Muslim Brotherhood have also warned about the Islamist influence operation enabled by Reverend Norquist. Finally, an array of influential figures in the conservative movement regard the Norquist influence operation as a threat. To date, the most prominent issue of the formal Norquist is the highly respected 16-term congressman from Virginia, who serves as chairman of the House Appropriations, Commerce, Justice, and Science Subcommittee. Mr. Wolf delivered what he called a statement of conscience before the House of Representatives on October 4th, 2011. These are two excerpts of the 5-minute summary of his lengthy remarks that Representative Wolf delivered on that occasion.
My conscience has compelled me to come to the floor today to voice concerns I have with the influence Grover Norquist, President of the American Protection Fund, has in the political process in Washington. My issue is not with ATR's goal of keeping taxes low. Like Ronald Reagan said, and I believe, the problem is not that the people are taxed too little. The problem is the government spends too much. I want to be perfectly clear. I do not support raising taxes on the American people. My concern is with the other individuals and groups and causes with whom Mr. Norquist is associated that have nothing to do with keeping taxes low. Among them, Norquist's relationship with Jack Abramoff. Mr. Abramoff essentially laundered money from ATR and Mr. Norquist knew it. 2. His association and representation of terrorist financier and vocal Hamas supporter Abdurrahman al-Amoudi. He also associated with terrorist financier Sami al-Arian, who pled guilty in 2006 to conspiring to provide services to Palestinian Islamic Jihad. 3. Mr. Norquist lobbying on behalf of Fannie Mae. 4th, Mr. Norquist's representation of the internet gambling industry. 5th, Mr. Norquist's advocacy of moving Guantanamo Bay detainees to the United States, including 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. Simply put, I believe Mr. Norquist is connected with or has profited from a number of unsavory people and groups out of the mainstream. I also believe that Mr. Norquist has used the ATR collection as leverage to advance many other issues that many Americans find inappropriate and when taken as a whole should give people pause. I raise these concerns in the context of dealing with the future of our country.
So here's the problem. Grover Norquist has responded to the sort of information in ways that simply do not stand up this week. In fact, they only reinforce the principal message of his presentation. Influence operation. Like the civilization of Jihad, in this case it's works best when it works stealthily. It's our hope that by marshalling the facts as we have and presenting them together with the reference materials at the Center for Secure Policy's website, www.securefreedom.org, in a readily accessible way. And to succeed in their efforts to destroy us from within by our hands. The necessity of exposing and shutting down our since Islamist influence operation takes on still greater urgency as we consider in the next parts of this course the ways in which it has enabled even more dangerous inroads to be made during and within the presidency. As we'll see, the effects have devastating for U.S. security, allies, and interests, and entail obvious implications for all constitutional freedom and rights As the preceding parts of this course the presidency of George W. Bush was subjected to a sophisticated, multifaceted, and aggressive Islamist defense operation with considerable success, all of which hard as it may be to believe, the degree of penetration of the U.S. government by Muslim Brotherhood and like-minded groups and extended their influence is even worse. Let's do it next to precedents and personal practices established in the predecessor. In part, it's a reflection of the elections of starting with those of President The next two parts of this course consider the state of the Muslim Brotherhood's civilization jihad against America during the Obama years. First, we'll focus on illustrative examples of Brotherhood-associated individuals who have been allowed to have access to, and in some cases actually been given positions in, the Obama administration. Then, in part one, we'll consider the significance of Congress and official policy achieved under the President. Such individuals the Obama administration is built on President Bush's practice of entrusting positions of influence, sometimes including key government posts, to individuals tied to the Muslim Brotherhood and other Islamist organizations. For the present purpose, an examination of 6 such individuals will suffice. Taken together with other officials who are clearly sympathetic to Islamists' priorities, including Mr. Obama himself, the danger posed by these operators' penetration of the government is acute. Mr. Obama has proudly described Bashar al-Assad as a face of the Quran, and therefore, quote, a respected member of the American Muslim community. Such individuals are committed to memory the Quran in its entirety, enjoying the honored status of Sharia terrorism as their field is an indicator of one's devotion to Allah. Hussein has long been involved with various Muslim Brotherhood front organizations, including Ideological al-Alouis, American Muslim Council, the International Institute of Islamic Thought, or IIIT, to which jihadists like Sami al-Arab and Jamal Barzanji also ties. Hussein is also the original Muslim Brotherhood, Muslim Students Association. An example of Hussein's sympathies can be found in his public declaration at the Muslim Students Association conference in Chicago in September 2004. That Sami al-Arab had been subjected to a prosecution. Some accounts indicate that he actually said persecution. In January 2009, Hussein was named Deputy Associate White House Counsel. According to his Wikipedia profile, among Hussein's responsibilities in that capacity have been national security and new media issues. administration's Muslim Brotherhood Hussein has also been credited with consulting on the drafting of his first address to the Muslim Brotherhood, delivered in June 2009 at Al-Azhar University. February 20, 2010, President Obama announced that Bashir Hussein, Hafiz would serve as my special envoy to the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Even regarding his White House job, Hussein's post has probably been known for facilitating official outreach to all the wrong sorts of Muslims, and for promoting ideologies. For example, in a speech on July 20th, 2010, Rashad Hussein credited the President's Cairo address for creating a new framework for relating to Muslims as a quote, a framework that recognizes we cannot engage one-fourth of the world's population based on beliefs of just a fringe few, and that our engagement can't be limited to an issue like violent extremism, but that it must be much broader than that. This statement is a classic influence operation. It misrepresents as the beliefs of a fringe few, the teachings and practice of mainstream Islam's Sharia doctrine. It characterizes as, quote, violent extremism what is actually Jihad. And it insists that the United States must, quote, engage with those who are perpetrating jihadism, or at least support it. Despite such conduct, Rashad Hussein has also lent the prestige of his office to Muslim Brotherhood-mounted interfaith dialogue initiatives. For example, he participated in the August 2010 Bridge Building Trip, so Al-Qaeda arranged for, among others, 8 Islamists, and U.S. Special Envoy to Monitor and Combat Anti-Semitism, Anna Rosenthal, described bridges, saying it as envoys of the Obama administration encouraging efforts to bridge the differences between the U.S. Constitution's guarantee of freedom of expression and the NBC's efforts to promote its worldwide expression of defenders of Islam. Sayyid Qutb's description of a one-way bridge to Islam the latest developments on this policy issue. In Part 9, another prominent appointee is Huma Abedin. She's described as a defense. Parents who hail from what is now Pakistan. Her late father, Sayyid he is described as Islamic scholar. If he worked for 15 years in Saudi Arabia, it's said that he was a Sharia adherent. He also specialized in ideas, as we have seen, against stock jihadists. Interfaith understanding and reconciliation, and promoting Muslim minorities. About Sayyid Abedin's beginnings, he was a counselor in the 1990s to the Muslim World League, a vehicle the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the wealthy Saudis have long used to undergo Islamist proselytization and other operations around the globe. To calibrate the implications of such a tiny consider this. An Abedin family friend was said to have sponsored the Abedins after they moved to Saudi Arabia in 1977, and perhaps was responsible for getting them to make that efforts. Was Abdullah himself, the Secretary General of the Muslim Brotherhood. In that capacity, he wrote in 1989 that, quote, the secular worldview is the total redemption of the Islamic faith. Therefore, quote, the struggle of Islamic thought with modern secularism is part of the eternal warfare Islam against the powers of atheism, Abedin's mother is Carrie Hall, her husband's wife. She is the founder and vice dean of respect of their faith communities. Precedents, including Aliwa al-Arabi and Al Jazeera, revealed that some Aberdeen the Muslim Brotherhood's secret international women's organization, also known as the Muslim Sisterhood. The Equans website says, quote, women's organizations work with Muslim women's is to gain a broader and unified global perception of every nation in the world regarding the position of women, to the necessity of advocacy work in all levels in accordance with the women in Muslim society and the rearing of women throughout the different stages of life. In other words, the sisterhood's goal is to establish a Sharia compliant code for women who are is another family closely tied to the Muslim Brotherhood, our brother Dr. Hassan Abadi. He has been a fellow at Oxford University Institute with myriad ties to Islamists. For example, Abdullah Omar Asif has served as chairman of the Oxford Center for Islamic Studies Board of Trustees, and Yusuf al-Qaradawi has been one of its members. OCIS has even presented a award for great scholarly achievement to Sheikh Abu al-Fatah Abu Ghuda, whose involvement with the Ikhwan dates back to his meeting with Hassan al-Banna in the 1950s. Mullah Abadi reportedly met Hassan and assisted him during a visit to Saudi Arabia before being returned to the United States for college. She worked first as an intern and then as a paid staffer in the White House, assigned to the First Lady's office. She was a senior advisor to the Secretary of State, and Abadi served as a triple chief of staff and Abadi's years of service to government culminated in her appointment to the position of Deputy Chief of Staff for the Secretary of State when Mrs. Clinton joined the Obama administration in 2000. Secretary Clinton visited Obama's wife at her university in Jeddah in 2011. On that occasion, she praised her aide and described her position as one that is, quote, very important and sensitive. That seems almost certainly to be the case, which raises a very important question. What impact does a key aide with close ties to the Muslim Brotherhood have on all society teams? If decision with respect to consequences that and its fellow Islamists have a motive that is proven to be both very important and sensitive. Another individual exercising influence in Obama administration circles on matters involving Islam and Sharia is Dalia Mogahed. She came to the United States from Indonesia at the age of 14 to obtain her undergraduate degree at the University of Wisconsin-Madison and her MBA at the University of Pittsburgh. Mogahed's day job is with the Gallup Organization's Center for Muslim Studies, where she serves as both executive director and a senior analyst. The center's stated mission is to provide nonpartisan and independent analysis that global leaders, institutions, and public can use to make informed decisions. In the fall of 2010, the Center for Muslim Studies facilitated the Gallup Plan for Objective Public Health has been seriously eroded by Dalia Mogahed's involvement with and support for Islamist groups and causes. Dalia Mogahed is also the director of a classic interfaith dialogue operation run as a joint venture between the Coexist Foundation and the Gallup organization. Its stated mission is to share critical findings from the Gallup World Poll with leaders in the Muslim world and the West. Recalling the Iqwan outside towards the admonition that bridge building must be about bringing infidels to Islam. This version of Coexist published a courtesy of In September 2008, she defended two of the most important Muslim Brotherhood fronts in the United States, the Islamic Society of North America and the Council on American Islamic Relations. She contended that links between such groups and Islamic radicals were, quote, misinformation, and harmless, quote, witch hunt aimed at silencing them. Further evidence of Dalia Mogahed's sympathies can be found in her appearance in May 2009 before the 34th Annual Conference of the Islamic Council of North America, an organization that has long promoted Jihad and Sharia. The event was co-sponsored by the Muslim Brotherhood Society, which was founded to story as the Muslim Brotherhood's former American branch. She's also been involved with the Muslim Affairs Council, an organization described as the Muslim Brotherhood's newest counterpart to the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. MPAC is a prime practitioner of various stealth jihadist techniques. These quotes illustrate Mogahead's activist approach to her surveys and the conclusions she draws from them about the world's Muslims and their practice of Islam. Studies by Gallup and other groups have repeatedly shown, quote, there is just no correlation between religiosity and violent extremism. The majority of people in the Middle East believe in the principles of free speech, free press, and a representative government. Such representations call into question our impartiality and reliability of our findings. This work succinctly captures the essence of the Muslim Brotherhood's civilization in America. Give them what they want in response to non-violent coercion, and maybe you can avoid the violent force. In a 2009 interview for terrorism sympathizing with Muslim Brotherhood, Mogahed revealed unmistakably her pro-Sharia attitude and raised further questions about her activity with respect to Islamism. I think the reason so many women support Sharia is because they have a very different understanding of Sharia and common perception in Western media. And to quote, the majority associate gender justice for women with Sharia compliance. A collaboration between hourly Bint Laws representative at Georgetown University, John Esposito, resulted in Who Speaks for Islam, blurred from Jimmy Carter's National Security Advisor. David Brzezinski is instructive about the partisan quality of Mogahed's work. Quote, this book helps readers understand who does the words being praised, contrary to the broad brush demagogy used by Bush administration spokesmen to justify a wide-ranging Islam. The data underpinning this work have been challenged on several grounds. For example, renowned scholar of Islam and Jihad, Spencer, says the authors quote their data to increase the number of Muslim martyrs, counting as moderate Muslims who wanted Sharia rule, hated America, supported jihad, martyrdom, suicide, and opposed equality of rights for women. Unquote. A particularly egregious example of Mogahead's cooking the data is evident in this book. She maintained that more Americans support targeted science than is the case in Muslim nations where Sharia is the law of the land. The only plausible explanation for the low numbers attributed to Muslim nations' support for killing civilians is that the term is defined very differently in Sharia and other nations like Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Hezbollah. Specifically, only innocent Muslims are considered inviolate civilians, and even then, only if their death is not required to advance the interests of Islam. Non-combatant infidels, even women and children, are considered to be fair game for jihadists. Such questionable professional makes all neutral the influence Mogahed is exercising in the Obama administration. She takes credit, for example, for having shaped U.S. policy in the Middle East. And others agree she has extraordinary clout in the White House. That's due in part to the fact that Mogahed was formally appointed to the Jihad as an advisor to President Obama. Mogahed is also involved with the Department of Homeland Security Working Group on countering violent extremism, about which we will have much more to say shortly. Finally, on February 18th, 2009, the Wall Street Journal reported on a Muslim Brotherhood, quote, charm offensive, unquote, aimed at securing Western funding and investment in Egypt. Despite the evidence, variant testing reports non-Muslims and their capitalist system. Dali Mogahed is quoted to the effect that a majority of Egyptians support Sharia in favor of economic development. Such polling data are clearly helpful to the Igwans and the Obama administration's efforts to secure further U.S. foreign aid in Egypt, despite its new hostile obstruction and policy direction. statements reflecting her hostility towards Israel. In a tweet sent on March 10, 2012, she declared, quote, "To those siding with Assad, he cannot deliver stability, protection of minorities, or resistance to Israel. He is a killer without legitimacy." Jihad watches the writer Sharia conservatives answers. On the other hand, ignores the fact that Damascus was headquarters for Hamas and other jihad organizations, and Assad pursued a course of consistent hostility to Israel, but not hostile enough for army desert. It seems clear that a woman with ideological skills and proclivities should not be influencing U.S. policy towards the Muslim Brotherhood in the Middle East, let alone inside the United States. Chicago is a hotbed of radical Islamists. Leaders is Sheikh Khalifa Mustafa, a Sunni Muslim of Palestinian extraction who hails from Lebanon, but is now based in the Chicago area. Mustafa is the driving force behind three Sharia entities in Lebanon. He serves as the Imam of Hamas in the chairman of the Chicago Muslims, and the founder of the Mosque Foundation. Khalifa Mustafa is described by his friends at the Chicago National Council of American Islamic Relations as an outstanding citizen who has served this country and its community time and again. Actually, Khalifa Mustafa is a supporter of Jihad. He admitted to serving as the registered agent for the targeted terrorism financing operation, the Holy Land Foundation. According to court records, he earned over $154,000 from the foundation between 1996 and 2000. Mustafa was, like the Council of American Islamic Relations, listed as an unrelated co-conspirator in the trial of Hamas fundraising fraud. He also admitted to being tied to a number of other Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas organizations, including the Islamic Association for Palestine, the precursor to Turkey, according to counterterrorism expert Patrick. In the course of the Holy Land Foundation trial, FBI Special Agent Carl Burns testified that Mustafa also sang in a band sponsored by the Holy Land Foundation that regularly featured songs dedicated to killing Jews and glorifying Hamas. Unquote. Among the lyrics of one such song was a line saying, Mustafa arranged material support for Hamas, as captured in this 2009 film. He's shown on the eve of America's Independence Day, sponsoring a fundraising event at his mosque foundation. The guest of honor was George Gallup, a former British member of Parliament infamous for his hostility towards America and Israel, and for his sympathy for Arab and Islamist causes. The Mosque Foundation newsletter of July 28, 2011 makes clear that Galloway was seeking support to take food, medicine, and other supplies into rural Irish 2000. It also reports that, quote, through their generous financial contributions and prayers, the Mosque Foundation shares in this humanitarian expedition, and that, quote, many members of this community successfully entered Gaza on July 14th. Incredibly, notwithstanding Mustafa's designation as an unindicted co-conspirator, Marcus Thomas of trial in his history, and his well-documented ties to assorted jihadist groups, he was selected and trained to serve as the first Muslim chaplain in history of the Illinois State Police. The Illinois State Police are said to have done a thorough background check on Mustafa. But as we've seen with folks with clearance, the security vetting process has become seriously dysfunctional. Upon learning of Mustafa's involvement, terrorism experts Stephen Anderson published a detailed recitation of the Illinois' Brotherhood ties to Jihad, a Chicago television station realized by Justice Department documents that cite Mustafa as a member of the Muslim Brotherhood's Palestine Committee, an organization that federal prosecutors said raises money for Hamas and Israel committed to the globalization of Islam and the fight Jihad. In the wake of these disclosures, the Illinois State Police revoked Mustafa's appointment. Care sued on Khalifa Mustafa's behalf, seeking his reinstatement. According to court documents in the case, Robert Carter, the special agent in charge of the Chicago office of the FBI, repeatedly warned Illinois State Police officials that Mustafa would not pass an FBI background check to be a chaplain for the FBI. This 6-week program afforded Mustafa an extraordinary opportunity to learn firsthand about FBI and other government counterterrorism techniques, including, in the course of visits to not only the super-secret counterterrorism center, but to FBI headquarters and the FBI training academy. Such exposure is actually advertised in the FBI's description of the Citizens Academy. It reads in part, quote, because of the classified investigative techniques discussed, nominees for the Academy must undergo a background check and get an interim security Just Kiefer Mustafa exploited his chance to collect useful intelligence about U.S. counterterrorism training. His own name had been Bradley, a journalist who also participated in the Citizens Academy, putting Mustafa on the tour of these sensitive sites. Bradley is a reporter with WLS TV in Chicago, ironically, the same news organization that investigated the after the Illinois State Police revoked his opinion. Here's how Ben Bradley described Mustafa's conduct in the course of the program. Quote, Mustafa asked some of the most pointed questions in the 6-week FBI Citizens Academy in Troy, Washington. He pushed agents to fully explain everything, from the Bureau's use of deadly force policy to racial and ethnic profiling. Mustafa said, quote, I saw a very interesting side of what the FBI does, and I wanted to know more. In short, Kiefer Mustafa took full advantage of the opportunities he was granted to collect useful intelligence. Terrorism expert and big peace.com contributor the story Mustafa's visits to some of our government's most sensitive facilities. The FBI was furious. At first, the spokesman insisted that the picture of the NCTC was a fabrication. It soon came to light, however, that it was actually an official FBI photo. Then, FBI Chicago spokesman Ross Rice insisted Washington Times billboards that while Mustafa was indeed a Holy Land Foundation unindicted co-conspirator, his participation in the Citizens Academy was unobjectionable since he, quote, had never been convicted of a crime and never charged with a crime. Rice added, quote, if we thought he was a security risk, we wouldn't have included him in the Citizens Academy. In fact, there was ample basis for excluding Kiefer Mustafa from the Citizens Academy and sensitive treatment. And the fact that his imam was allowed to participate in it is but one more example of the security environment, or more accurately, the insecurity environment created by the Obama administration based on the Bush administration president's practices. Mohammed al-Abiyari is a particularly skilled practitioner of Muslim Brotherhood's civilization Jihad. His base of operations is an organization he founded in Dallas, Texas, the Freedom and Justice Foundation. It turns out that freedom and justice are terms favored by the Muslim Brotherhood in Ideological group. The names are not the only things al-Abiyari's organization has in common with one's operations elsewhere. It is also involved in several of the civilization jihadists' priority initiatives, including interfaith community relations and government influence operations. As is typical of Muslim Brotherhood-associated operatives, al-Abiyari affects a public persona of moderation and rejection of violent jihadism and its supremacist goals. Yet, a review of his numerous opinions and statements reveals a pattern of affinity for the Ikhwan critique of U.S. policies, judicial decisions, and counterterrorism practices that have impeded the Brotherhood's agenda. It is replete with examples of decay, purposeful dissembling, to confuse infidels for the purpose of protecting Islam, otherwise advancing its interests. For instance, al-Abiyari was a headline of the 2004 event in Irving, Texas, marking the anniversary of the birth of the rapidly anti-American Iranian theocratic revolutionary Ayatollah Khomeini. When challenged by his appearance, al-Abiyari had an op-ed in the Dallas Morning News in which he professed to be ignorant about both the nature of the trivia and the Ayatollah's political purposes beyond what al-Abiyari considered his admirable pursuit of quote, positive unity. He also claimed
that kind of stuff.
Another example of how LBR's Turkey can be found in a heated exchange he had with a critical dissent over the nature of Sayyid Qutb's ideology. As the bipartisan 9/11 Commission made clear, the influential Qutb's writings explicitly called for more Muslims to take up arms when the milestones of Jihad had created conditions in which violence would lead to success. The commissioners observed that, according to Qutb, quote, any Muslim who rejects his ideas is just one more non-believer worthy of destruction. LBR has also run interference for Islamists and their agenda.
Alright, now I gotta open up the back.
In the Dallas Morning News posed the prospect of the assassination of Anwar al-Awlaki,
And videotape the inside of the machine.
his role in inspiring Jihad. LBR has also followed the Ikhwan line.
We're gonna move this over here. So it's the perfect game, 3,333,360. We're gonna move this over here.
Favorably cited by the red-green operation known as Charity and Security Network.
I'm gonna open up the back of the machine.
Which sources call anti-British and British, as we saw in part 4 of this course.
Come on.
Islamists like Suhail Khan are associated with. While frontline films and positions in activism would have amounted to red flags for security-minded professionals, a succession of them have appointed LBR to positions with such organizations.
Alright, where's my light at?
Texas Department of
My light.
and the National Counterterrorism Center Global Engagement Group to advise on Homeland Security-related matters. Notably, LBR currently serves on the Texas Department of Safety Advisory Group. Worse yet, in October 2010, LBR was appointed to the Department of Homeland Security's advisory group. He also became a member of the Council's Countering
Here we go. We're going back to the machine.
We'll discuss in the next conference groups these organizations have played in shaping administration policies.
Okay, here we got the monitor. Here we got the board. Let's see. There's the dip switches. Alright. There's the chips. Other chips here. The rest of the board. Sorry. It's upside down here. On a power supply. Inside the machine. Alright, here we go. I'm going to put this back on. Put this back on here.
The publication evidently found the evidence unpersuasive. The story of LBR's misconduct was broken on October 26th in PJ meeting.
Alright, now I put the back on.
Representative Louis Gohmert of Texas used the occasion of DHS Secretary Napolitano's appearance before the House LBR's actions, of which he
Alright, now where to put my keys?
pledges to do an interactive report back to the committee have thus far gone. Perhaps
Alright, here we go.
come with the request for an investigation of Muhammad al-Awlaki is certainly improper and possibly illegal activity to be held. Al-Awlaki was personally recognized for his service to the FBI.
Alright, now we're going to look inside, I guess, the machine.
It's not clear what, quote, extraordinary contributions Al-Awlaki made to, quote, specific cases.
Shit!
Was the upshot of such help. As to the relationships he helped the FBI expand with the Muslim community in Texas, in the hands of Islamist operatives like LBR, the result is usually counterproductive. As it
Hello?
ultimately
Is anyone there?
dumbing down law enforcement's
Can anyone hear me?
situational awareness and effective action against civilization jihadists in this country. The award ceremony was held at
Oh my god. Alright.
A series of ominous events followed Muhammad
Hello?
Ali's visit to Monaco. It strains credulity that they were all coincidental. Within 6 days, the online
Alright,
magazine
this thing is weird.
published a harsh critique of the training provided
Come on, come on.
with what is euphemistically known as countering violent extremism. The author was a virulently anti-American leftist, Spencer Ackerman.
Alright.
4 days later, LBRA responds
That thing just dropped off my tripod, or my stand.
at the Muslim Brotherhood's website.
There's the thing. I need to focus.
unspecified
Focus, manual focus.
like-minded individuals inside the FBI and Homeland Security.
Shut my focus. Where is it? Come on! Focus, focus, focus!
Also took credit, at least implicitly, for getting one of America's preeminent non-Muslim authorities on Sharia and Jihad, Stephen Corbett, quote, terminated. Olivieri declared that, quote,
Alright, well, let me try to look inside of the machine. This thing is a piece of crap.
FBI trainer William Gauls and other less infamous full-time analysts inside the national security enterprise.
There's
2 days
that.
later, Spencer Ackerman responds with a tribute to
Got this
Olivieri.
thing here.
And on the 23rd of September, Ackerman published one more screen about the Islamophobia
This thing is really ticking me off.
in the FBI library, together with photos of such material. The photos were taken on a cell phone from inside the library. On October 4th, a red-green coalition, including the American Civil Liberties Union,
Come on!
Fronts Like Care,
This is an irritation.
FBI
And my freaking focus, I can't even zoom in on this thing.
program be overhauled to eliminate materials that are Islamophobic.
Okay, well, we'll try to take this off of here.
Spencer Ackerman, one of the American Civil Liberties Union. In short, Mohammed Olivieri appears to have been in position to generate a campaign aimed at extending the Islamists' information dominance by terminating or silencing those knowledgeable about Sharia and civilization jihad,
Okay.
and responsible for vital training at the FBI, among other federal, state, and local agencies. We'll examine in the next part of this course how he and others have used such opportunities for influence operations to devastating
So that's
situational awareness about this
the
threat,
panel.
and what it obliges its adherents to do in the way of
Come on, light.
feels subdued. Imam Muhammad Majid, also known as Muhammad Hud Majid, has already been mentioned several times earlier in this course.
Okay.
Let's examine a little more closely the man, his ties to the Muslim Brotherhood, and his influence operations in the United States. Muhammad Majid comes from pedigreed
Okay.
stock. His father has been
Putting this back on here
a
because this is
Cairo-trained
ridiculous.
Muslim Brotherhood soldier who has served as one of the most Sharia characters in the world, the Republic of Sudan. The website of the Al-Madina Institute, which lists the younger Majid as one of its teachers, says, quote,
Okay, this is ridiculous.
Majid previously ran the Islamic Center in Washington, prominently located on the city's exclusive Embassy Road. Recall this center was the venue chosen for President George W. Bush's Muslim outreach event with CARE's Niyad Awad, the Islamic Institute's Khalid Safuri, and other Islamists.
This thing is not focusing, man.
Relocated to the Adams Center in Sterling, Virginia. This 25,000 square foot facility, which describes itself as one of the largest in the Washington, D.C. region and the country, has 7 branches throughout the northern Virginia region. Despite his Islamist family, upbringing, and devout adherence to Sharia, Muhammad Majid has proven to be a most adept practitioner of the Muslim Brotherhood's civilization jihadist techniques. We've discussed how that tradecraft requires a brother to be
Okay.
a law enforcement
Well, my name is David Rice.
the
This
nicest
thing
guy
will not.
in the world.
This thing is not working. I have
He's smooth
can't turn it off to try to fix it to see what's going on. So, 3,333,360. It is May 22nd, 2013. By the way, that's Pac-Man's birthday. Whack, whack. David Rice at the time
November 14th, 2005 edition, Time magazine played
is 1:29 p.m. on Wednesday. So, thank you very much. Take care. God bless. Hoorah.
True agenda and success of their critics. The profile by Douglas Moore drew on 2 weeks of clearly, carefully managed exposure to Majid and reflects
Where?
the full effects
There it is.
of a first-class influence operation. Majid's Adams Center in Sterling, Virginia, is a key institution in what has come to be known as
Okay. There it is. After I turned the thing off, or I stopped it and restarted, then I'm able to focus the thing now. I'm very ticked off that happened, but what can you do? Okay, well, alright, stop.